like this intro music. What is happening, guys? Welcome to another Stokastic NBA Deeper Dive. And earlier today, Adam and I did the strategy show together as well. And sometimes there's some similarities between the strategy show and the Deeper Dive, but a lot has changed because we got the Denver Nuggets news being the most significant, where Bones Highland, he was questionable earlier in the day. He has been ruled out. Now, Adam, we now have, because this is going to be really important to the overarching way we talk about this slate, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. were all downgraded to questionable. I'm assuming they don't play today. Are you in that same thought process?
Sort of. I am. Like, I would be surprised if they play, but at the same time, they were questionable yesterday, and I was very confident they would.
Yeah.
And it's not like we had an injury report where they were probable or in, and then they were downgraded. So there's some chance that it's just they're listed the exact same way as yesterday, and they're going to play the exact same way as yesterday. I think it's likely at least that Murray sits. My best guess is Murray sits and Jokic plays.
Yeah, to me, it's just so weird. It's the tail end of a back-to-back. These guys are coming off a layoff because don't forget, Jokic was in the COVID protocols. We don't know how sick he actually was.
I think he actually had it too, like legit had it, because I know I think it was Harrison Wind had tweeted, somebody had asked him, like, how long does Jokic have to be in COVID protocols? And he was like, well, after 10 days, you're just automatically out of it. And he was at like day 8 yesterday. So it sounds like he was like failing to test out of it for a while.
Yeah, my gut feeling is that he doesn't end up playing, and that is going to inform the way I approach this slate in a pretty significant way, because obviously if he doesn't play, Murray doesn't play, Bones Highland has already been ruled out. I don't think Michael Porter Jr. plays. It would be a ton of value that opens up for Denver, enables us to get to some of the other pay-up options. So just want to throw that out as we're starting, that is a massive piece of news that we should be looking out for as you guys come in. The video.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'll say the thing to keep in mind, too, is that nobody's playing tomorrow. So you get this weird situation, too, where you have teams kind of incentivized to rest guys because they automatically get at least 2 days off if they just give them tonight off.
Yeah, and then also Denver played last night and it was really just a miserable game. Probably the worst loss anybody's had the entire year. If you lose at home with your full roster to the Detroit Pistons and no Cade Cunningham, no Sadiq Bey, it's a really shitty loss. So maybe that's something that plays into, and some fatigue could have been an issue for Jokic coming back from the illness. But either way, we're about to break down all the games. We'll hit more on that afterwards. But while you guys do come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also shout out to No House Advantage, the sponsor of today's show. We'll be talking more about them later. But opening up the slate, Adam, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Indiana Pacers. Now, as far as Minnesota goes, earlier in the day when you and I were talking about this team, it's kind of been the status quo for Minnesota, where some of these guys, if you get to them in tournament lineups, it's not the end of the world, but nothing is really a priority either. So I don't think there's anybody that I'm going to be getting to in a whole bunch of my lineups from this team. Is it still the same for you? And do you have a favorite player of the stars on Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to say my favorite is for DraftKings. Karl Anthony Towns made it into my tournament plays videos earlier. For FanDuel, D'Angelo Russell made it in. But yeah, it's still not a true priority anywhere. You have the main 4 guys, Gobert, Russell, Edwards, Towns, all 8 to 11% owned. We have a little bit of news here with Kyle Anderson and Jordan McLaughlin questionable. I don't think it matters too much on a 12-game slate. If McLaughlin's out, maybe you can give a couple extra minutes to D'Angelo Russell. If Anderson's out, you're getting Naz Reid playing more minutes, but probably not enough to matter. So I think Towns and Russell are probably the ones I would get to first, just because Towns is 9K on DraftKings, Russell's 6,300 on FanDuel. But all 4 of those guys are sort of just good plays that are on a fully healthy team, so you can't really call them priorities.
Yeah, and we're going to get to a spot, too, where the injury report, we're going to get an update in 38 minutes, and I presume we're going to get players ruled out. And so there are guys who are going to look decent now that might look quite a bit different 38 minutes from now. So Minnesota, some of these guys could always make some sense because they have really good players, but it's on a 12-game slate. It's going to be hard to prioritize anyone. We never know who's going to be the guy on offense, who's going to lead them in usage, who's going to have the ball in their hands most often. It's probably going to be different day to day for the Minnesota Timberwolves. A couple of players that are on their injury report that are lesser names, but could potentially open up some value. Kyle Anderson is questionable. Jordan McLaughlin questionable. Would either of those players being out do anything for you in terms of players that you would want to get to?
Not a ton. I think you could potentially give a couple extra minutes to D'Angelo Russell just for the same reasons that we talk about with centers. Like you could see a rotation where like Jalen Noel just picks up more minutes and Russell plays the same. But I think it's more likely that you would get a couple extra minutes for Noel and a couple extra minutes for D'Angelo Russell. So that would look a little bit better. I appreciate the smirk at what I said to Eric.
I was looking through the chat, and I saw that Eric's here. So let's is he in here telling everybody about Furkan Korkmaz again?
I mean, I assume that's what he was referring to when he said for what, just overall being a god lately. I can't think of anything else in Eric's life that he thinks he's a god at, so I'm assuming it's a Korkmaz thing.
Listen, he recently came back from vacation, which I'm very nice. He went to Paris. He went with his wife. He had a good time. His lifelong goal. He has told me this for years that if he only accomplishes one thing in his life, he wants to sit on the Eiffel Tower. He got to do that. Everything that he set out to do in life has now been accomplished. So I understand he's on top of the world right now. I'm happy that our biggest fan is here to watch us do the show as well. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Eric.
I mean, I say a lot of shit about Eric, but I really like the guy, and it also really speaks to his professionalism that he watches me as often as he does, because peak just what you want to be in this industry.
Yeah, he watches you, and that's how he knows his information.
Right.
He's got the live before lock that he's doing right after this. He has to know what to talk about. He has to get his cues from Adam. Other side of the game,
Also,
the Indiana.
one other
Yeah,
comment.
go ahead.
Yes, Eric, you had 8x the field on Paul Reed. You played 5 lineups. We need an intervention on you using percentages when you play 4 or 5 lineups.
Oh my god, this is just Adam gets a couple drinks to him in the afternoon, and look at what happens.
Oh no, these were all coming anyway. I had said these to you this morning. I was just waiting for Eric to be around.
So we've got, and by the way, people should know, Adam, what did you do this afternoon?
I watched soccer. It was awful.
Adam watched soccer. He had a couple of drinks, and then he showed up here and also bet on soccer because Adam's in Maryland. By the way, if you guys live in Maryland, sports betting now legal there. You should be taking advantage of all the different offers that we have because you make a ton of free money just by taking advantage of sign up offers. So, was this the first time you were able to bet legally on sports?
In Maryland, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, the last time I had done it was in Atlantic City, so that was not Maryland. For people that don't like soccer, it makes it doubly worse when you bet draw and other things that lose, and you still watch that stupid game and don't make money.
Yeah, well, listen, if there's any way to watch soccer, have a couple beers, bet on stuff you have no clue what the hell it is you're betting on, and you hope for the best. Then you show up and you do the deep dive show where we've got the Indiana Pacers to talk about next. And for them, Tyrese Halliburton is somebody who I typically end up getting to somewhere around, if not a little bit overweight to the field on. Now that we have at least what I presume is going to be value coming in for Denver, it's going to be easier for me to spend up at spots. Halliburton's probably somebody I end up with like in 10 to 15% of my lineups. The Minnesota Timberwolves defense has been underwhelming this year. This is a spot that looks like it should be really fast paced, 237.5 total. So Halliburton, he's somebody that I like in that 9K to 10K range.
Yeah, he's one of many that I like. About 1.38 DraftKings points per minute this year. You should get 34, 35 minutes from him in a decent enough spot against Minnesota. 119 implied total for Indiana. He looks really good. The only thing holding his ownership down, and like you said, he's at about 10%. The only thing holding him down is that there's a lot of similar looking guys. So I like Halliburton. I think Buddy Hield is interesting enough at 6,300, should play 32 to 34 minutes. Miles Turner, we are waiting on some news here. Isaiah Jackson is questionable. He's been the straight backup to Miles Turner. So if Jackson's out, there's a good chance that you're getting Turner, barring foul trouble, going from 28, 29 minutes to like 32, 33. It's going to make him look a lot better. Jalen Smith, I mentioned as the number 1 tournament play on DraftKings earlier when I did the tournament plays video. He was just going a little bit under-owned and also had one of the higher chances of being optimal. You're just talking about somebody that averages about 25 minutes per game and a fantasy point per minute, but ranges from anywhere from 18 to 30 minutes. But going up against this Minnesota team, I think that he's more likely to be on the floor. We saw them kind of go small, play a lot of Halliburton alongside McConnell the other day, but against Minnesota, it would be kind of surprising if they do that.
From Caleb McLean, have to read it out now. Buzzed Adam is a character you unlock after you beat the game. Yeah, you and a couple of GP. It's you're playing the DFS video game. You get to the end, and then and then you unlock Adam as the special playable character. By the way, I
I
agree
love
with
how
you.
Eric says very professional show we're witnessing. Like me buzzed is less professional than Eric's general like personality.
Boy, this is. I think we might have to bring Eric on as like a third wing on the show just so he could defend himself. The live before lock that Eric is doing afterwards, he's gonna have to defend himself. He's gonna have his guard up. He's gonna have some sort of rebuttal. Adam will never watch it, but Eric is gonna go on. He's gonna have to defend himself. But I agree with you on Jalen Smith because the matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves, his minutes get jerked around all the time. If there's any spot that the Pacers would probably have to play a bigger lineup, it's in a matchup against Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I don't think this is a spot where they're going to be able to play smaller lineups. It's hard to feel great about Jalen Smith's minutes. With that said, I did bet him over 6.5 rebounds just because I think this is one particular spot we should feel good about his playing time relative to other spots. So there's definite upside in tournaments, but a lot of variance.
Yeah, and the thing with Smith too is it's not even like we're totally guessing that he plays more minutes here. If you just sort of like take a step back from the fact that he played 18 minutes last game, um, yeah, no, Adam won't. If you take a step back, he's averaging 24 to 25 minutes per game over his last 10, and he's about a fantasy point per minute guy. So if you just like ignore matchups, ignore all of that, you can pretty comfortably say on average you're getting 25, 26 minutes from Jalen Smith. Then you think about the matchup, and it's like, all right, it's less likely that they go to these small lineups. You know, Shea Brissett played a ton of minutes. TJ McConnell played a lot, like I said. It's unlikely they do that. It's more likely they go to Jalen Smith, assuming he doesn't get in foul trouble. So I think Jalen Smith looks good.
Let's move on to the next game, which is the Portland Trailblazers against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Although, first, Thanksgiving is coming up. Big holiday, and right after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. And we've got a Black Friday sale going on here over at Stokastic.com because we're doing our biggest sale ever with the holiday coming up, where if you sign up for a Stokastic Plus Platinum membership and use the promo code THANKS at checkout, THANKS, you are going to get 90% off a weekly package for Stokastic. $5 for 1 week. Get all of the tools that we have here: projections, ownership projections, the lineup builder, everything that you need to build winning DFS lineups, not just for NBA, but for NFL. We've got soccer going on right now, which Adam is now a massive fan of putting his money on. Everything. We've got it covered over at Stokastic.com. Just make sure when you sign up, use that promo code THANKS at checkout, and you get access to all that $5 for 1 week. Now, the next game here, the Portland Trailblazers against the Cleveland Cavaliers. For Portland, Damian Lillard remains out for the team. He's going to be out, it looks like, for at least a couple of weeks or so, dealing with the re-aggravation of his calf strain. With him out of the mix, Adam, who are the priorities from Portland?
So it makes Anthony Simons look better. Like you're talking about 36, 37 minutes at around 1.15 DraftKings points per minute for Simons. But he's also sort of priced for that, and it's not a great matchup against Cleveland. 7,600 looks fine. I think he's okay in tournaments, but I wouldn't call him a priority on this slate. The guy that I actually like the most right now is Yusuf Nurkic, who is only getting 5% ownership, but Lillard being out actually works in two ways for him. One, it increases his usage, which is good, but it also increases his average playing time. He's averaging about 1.5 to 2 minutes more per game when Lillard is out. And that's without accounting for the fact that there's been some games where Lillard's in and other guys are out. We've seen what Portland really wants to do when they're healthy is go with a closing lineup of Lillard, Simons, Hart, Grant, Winslow. But with Lillard out, it's likely you get Winslow in the closing lineup, but it's likely that it's in place of Shadon Sharp instead of Yusuf Nurkic. So I think you can project a couple extra minutes onto Nurkic in addition to increased usage. And the fact he's only getting 5% ownership at 6,400 makes me think that I'm in the minority there.
Yeah, no, I definitely can make the case for upside here. And then also another spot, when we just talked about with Jalen Smith, the matchup for Nurkic, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen in the front court for Cleveland. There aren't very many spots I think we could feel good about the minutes for Nurkic, but this is a spot where I think that Portland would probably need the size to match up against Cleveland. And then on the Cleveland side of the game, they also have some injuries that they are dealing with. There's no Kevin Love. There's no Karis LeVert. With these two guys out of the mix, does it open up any kind of additional value on the Cleveland side of the game?
Maybe a little bit. The issue is that Dean Wade's coming back, so I don't think we see the same sort of playing time necessarily that we saw last game. The big question, I think, is how many minutes Isaac Okoro plays. Robin Lopez was in the rotation last game. Isaac Okoro played a lot. The way I projected it was I gave around 24 minutes to Chetty. I assume Lamar Stevens is still going to play 28, 29. And then I gave like 6 minutes, or I gave like 10 minutes to Okoro. I gave like 18 to Dean Wade. If you go that route, it doesn't make anything look really good from those value pieces. Like you can take some shots at Chetty and hope that he plays well and pays off 3,800, but it basically makes me want to stay with the Mitchell, Garland, Allen, Mobley group. If they were to just like kick Isaac Okoro from the rotation and bring Dean Wade back, then Chetty looks really good. But I just don't feel comfortable giving Isaac Okoro 0 minutes.
Yeah, I think that does all make sense. And also, there are still going to be other priorities. We move through the slate. There's a lot of teams that are even more banged up than what Cleveland is. Like the next team, for instance, the Philadelphia 76ers. They are currently without Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid. All of them are out. Obviously, Thybulle the least significant, but still, even with him out of the picture, that's somebody who could have played a few minutes that it's no longer an option. We've seen some players get priced up for Philadelphia, at least more expensive than they were yesterday. What I think is the most important spot here, it's the center situation. Paul Reed was the top value play on the slate yesterday. Montrezl Harrell started. I don't know exactly what the starting lineup is going to be today, but I presume it is going to be Harrell starting at center. Adam, what do we make of the dynamic between Paul Reed and Montrezl Harrell? We're going to be playing the bulk of the minutes here at the big man spot for the Sixers without Joel Embiid.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. So I think the really big takeaway from yesterday was that with Montrezl Harrell starting, Harrell and Reed played 48 minutes. And we had seen that the last game that Harrell started as well. They played very close to 48 minutes. So I think that's the one thing that you can feel pretty confident in. I still think there's a decent chance that you get like 44 combined. And, if it's a close game, PJ Tucker is the closing center and you get an extra wing, whether that's Korkmaz or Niang or whoever. But I think you're getting close to 48 minutes as from Harrell plus Reed, as long as one of them is starting. I don't want to read too much into what happened yesterday because Paul Reed played really, really well in a matchup against a team that Paul Reed is going to play incredibly well against. Brooklyn does not rebound, and you just have Paul Reed out there just grabbing rebounds and getting putbacks and, just doing a good job. But it's not a bad matchup here either, but you do at least have like a real center on Charlotte in Plumlee that is, better than Nick Claxton probably, at least in terms of like size and rebounding and stuff. So I don't want to read into yesterday and see it as like the plan going into that game was that Montrezl Harrell starts, plays 15, 16 minutes, and Paul Reed plays the rest. I think it was very, very game flow dependent, and I expect it to be the same thing today. So I think that you're going to get close to a 48-minute split, but it could be 22-22, it could be 24-24, it could be 16-31 in either person's favor. The last game that Harrell had started, Harrell played 29 and Reed played like 17 or 18. So I think there's a tendency to just, especially because like Paul Reed's a good point per minute guy, which so is Montrezl Harrell, but there's a tendency in the DFS community to like want Paul Reed to be a thing. And so when he like finally does something, there's this tendency to just be like, oh yeah, that it was coming. Now Doc Rivers sees it, like whatever. I don't think it's a guarantee that you see that same rotation today. If Montrezl Harrell starts, I think you project Montrezl Harrell for like 22 or 23, and you project Reed for like 21 or 20 to 22. Like, I think it makes them both good plays, just like they were yesterday. I don't think yesterday has a huge bearing on today, as long as Harrell starts. If Reed starts, that's a signal that Doc Rivers is just saying, like, all right, he's ahead of Harrell now.
As of right now, and I'm assuming that Montrezl Harrell starts. He started yesterday. He's my favorite tournament play on the slate. It's the same thing I said this morning we were talking about it because the ownership hasn't changed, at least as of now. Paul Reed on DraftKings is projected for 44% ownership. Montrezl Harrell is projected for less than 1% ownership. FanDuel's a little bit different because Paul Reed is priced up to $5,400, so he's only picking up 11% ownership, but still, Harrell on FanDuel is $4,900, and he's projected for 0.1% ownership. If nobody's going to play Montrezl Harrell today and everybody's going to play Paul Reed, this seems like a pretty easy pivot to me because Paul Reed could be the guy who plays the bulk of the minutes. But like you said, Adam, I don't know that to be for sure. I don't know that to be set in stone. So I would rather be higher on Harrell today and just hope the minutes go my way because number one, I think there's a lot of upside in Harrell, but there's clearly a lot of leverage there as well if he does end up playing the bulk of the minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing to me is right now, Harrell projected for less than 1% ownership while Reed's at 37. I mean, if you flip those, I would just be jamming Paul Reed. To me, this is just a completely, assuming Harrell starts, a completely game flow dependent Doc Rivers is going to decide as the game goes on decision. So if we're going to have 37% of the field decide right now that Paul Reed is the guy and 1% decide Montrezl Harrell, I'm going to just say, all right, well, I don't know what Doc Rivers is going to do. I'm going to play the one that's getting 1%.
Yeah, and by the way, the last ownership update that we just got a few minutes ago, that ownership of Hurry has gone up to 44%. So it looks like he's going to be about half the field's lineups, at least as of now, with people not really looking to go towards Montrezl Harrell. I don't think that should be the case. We've got other guys on Philly that could also benefit: Melton, Harris, Milton. These guys are going to have to carry the bulk of the usage for the Philadelphia 76ers with all the key guys hurt. Are any of these players priorities for you in tournaments?
So I do agree with Ryan Colucci too. If Harrell starts, he's not going to be 1% owned. But the general idea still holds. Like yesterday, Harrell was 26, Reed was 9. I thought Reed was going to be like 20, or I would have had more Reed. If like today, you could still see that sort of split, but in like Reed's favor because everybody saw yesterday. So I think, yeah, the ownership probably is going to look different in a couple of hours, but the same thing holds where I think this is basically a toss-up if Harrell starts, and it's not likely to look that way. As far as other guys from Philly, I think the same group of Melton, Harris, Milton all look good. One thing I will throw out there is that they signed Saban Lee, and they cut Michael Foster. I don't know how many minutes Saban Lee plays, but that is a legit body that can play, 18 minutes. And if you're going to take, a $7,600 Melton, and instead of 34 to 36, you're going to call it 30 to 32. Or if you're going to take Shake Milton at 5,500, and instead of 34 to 36, you're going to call it, 30. Those things look worse. I don't necessarily know that that's what they do, but that is a potential wrench here where, like, I think there's a better chance that Saban Lee is actually in the rotation than that Michael Foster was ever going to be in the rotation.
And on the other side of the game, as far as Charlotte goes, I thought earlier in the day we can make cases for some of these guys like Mason Plumlee. I don't think would be the worst play in the world, but here's the issue. I don't think these Denver guys are playing. We're going to get a lot more points per dollar value that opens up. By the time we actually get to uploading lineups, I just don't think I'm going to have very much from Charlotte. But is there anybody that you do really like from this side of the game?
No, I don't think there's anybody that really stands out from the Charlotte side. And just to quickly touch or reiterate something in chat, Abbas has said, do you still like Harrell if Reed starts? I like Harrell less if Reed starts than I like Reed if Harrell starts. Because I think if Harrell starts, it could be that, Harrell plays the bulk of the minutes if he plays well, and or Reed just plays normally. But there's also that chance that Reed just plays really well and, again, just like keeps Harrell off the floor. If Reed starts ahead of Harrell, to me, it's more of a signal of Doc Rivers saying, like, okay, like that, like Paul Reed is the guy that we want, and he's the starting center. So, I don't like Harrell if he's the backup. I still like Reed if he's the backup. I just like Harrell at this ownership if he's the starter. But as far as the Charlotte side goes, nothing that really stands out. I do like the spot for Plumlee. You and I talked about it a bit this morning. Like, you're going from Joel Embiid to Montrezl Harrell and Paul Reed. That's a really, really good spot, but you're still talking about a $5,700 Mason Plumlee on a 12-game slate at center only, so he can only stand out so much. PJ Washington's been playing more. He's playing around 34 minutes per game. Terry Rozier's playing a ton. Oubre and Hayward look fine, but they're all pretty much correctly priced. I don't think anything really stands out there.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. And next injury report update, 28 minutes. It's going to have some stuff that I assume is going to overhaul the slate, because that's kind of what always happens, which is ultimately going to mean that some of these even potentially fringe guys just won't really end up making it into lineups. Now, the next game on the slate, which I'm fairly sure the total's gone up since this morning, Adam. This morning we did the strategy show. Sacramento, Atlanta had a 240 total. It has been up to 241.5. I'm pretty sure the highest one of the year. There's expected to be a lot of pace played in this game. One thing that's interesting, though, there is a good amount of ownership going to Atlanta, almost none to Sacramento. 2% ownership on De'Aaron Fox, 0.4% on Domantas Sabonis. Those are the DraftKings ownerships. For FanDuel purposes as well, almost no ownership going to Sacramento. The game is going to be played at a very high pace. It's expected to be competitive. I don't really understand why the Atlanta players would be this much more popular than the Sacramento side.
I have absolutely no idea. Like, we talked about it this morning, and I get it with Trae Young getting a lot more getting the most ownership, but I have one, Trae Young shouldn't be 20% compared to De'Aaron Fox's one. DeJounte Murray definitely should not be like 12 to 1. DeJounte Murray's averaging 1.18 DraftKings points per minute this year. Fox is at 1.35. Murray plays around 37 minutes per game. Fox plays like 35, give or take, in competitive games. They should be pretty similar. Fox is a little bit more expensive, and he's a little bit less expensive than Young, playing similar minutes and averaging like the same fantasy points per minute. They are in the same game. The Kings are like the most efficient offense in the history of the NBA so far. I don't get it. Like, I get if you prefer De'Aaron Fox. I even get if you prefer saving $400 on DeJounte Murray. I don't get laying 10 to 12 to 1. And also, this is another spot where we have Fox at 1%. He's probably like 4. So you're probably actually talking about like 3%, or you're 3 to 1. I mean, but still, I don't get why De'Aaron Fox isn't getting like 10% ownership.
Yeah, it's a game that has the highest total on the slate by quite a few points, one of the highest of the entire season. And the same goes for Sabonis for me as well. Now, I think he's easier to get to on FanDuel than DraftKings for reasons that you laid out earlier, that it could be a little restrictive for Sabonis, where he's only center eligible on DK. FanDuel, he's sub 1% on with power forward and center eligibility. These are two, to me, pretty good pay up to be contrarian options in a really good game environment. Are there any value plays or just cheaper guys in general that you like from the Kings?
The wings are still kind of interesting. You know, I was very heavy on Keegan Murray yesterday for the first time all year. That went miserably. I hope to never do it again. But you still saw a rotation that's favorable for those wings. Not long ago, we were seeing these Kings rotations where Malik Monk was like always in the closing lineup playing 26, 28 minutes. Terrence Davis was like kind of sticking his head in playing 12, 14 minutes. And it was really difficult to feel comfortable with any of Huerter, Barnes, or Murray. Yesterday, most of Davis's playing time came because Keegan Murray was in foul trouble. Harrison Barnes still got 33 minutes. Kevin Huerter got 33. I'm pretty comfortable expecting 32 minutes or so from those guys. They could play more. Harrison Barnes is 5,300. Huerter's 6K. Saw a stat a little bit ago on Twitter. I don't remember the exact percentage, but like there's 3 guys in the NBA shooting above X% from 3, and it's Desmond Bane, Steph Curry, and Kevin Huerter. I mean, the guy's playing well. So I still think going to those guys looks okay, but they're just not going to be as appealing tonight as they were last night on a 4-gamer, because you have a million guys to go to. You have teams that are potentially just resting half of the roster. So I think the wings are interesting just based on the rotations we've seen recently, but I can't say that like they're priorities. I still think the guys that I get to the most here are Fox number 1, and then probably Sabonis number 2.
And then on the Hawks side of the game, we've got Trae Young, one of the most popular pay up options on the slate, projected for just north of 20% ownership on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I get it. He's been really good. And something else that's happened, because we were talking before about DeJounte Murray and how he's really popular, the production just hasn't been there for him as of late. Trae Young has been the guy who's had the higher usage. He's had the ball in his hands more, so he's had the higher assist rate. And we've just seen DeJounte Murray's most recent fantasy games, 25, 35, 31, 36. And it's honestly kind of hard to project him to be the guy even close to what he was last year, because the usage and the assist rate isn't there in even remotely the same way. So I do think Trae Young is the better play of the two by a pretty wide margin. Do you think the ownership on Trae Young is warranted where he's north of 20% on both FanDuel and DK?
Yeah, this is a really just weird backcourt to me. I think Trae Young is clearly the better option to DeJounte Murray. That's not to say DeJounte Murray can't have those games where he goes out there and he's the guy, because we've seen it. He does. But overall this season, 1.18 DraftKings points per minute for DeJounte Murray, 1.32 for Trae Young, 35% usage for Young, 25 for Murray, 39.8% assist percentage for Young, 28.8 for Murray. You do get a bit more in the way of defensive stats from Murray, but it's pretty safe to say that Trae Young's on average, the better point per minute guy. So I get why Trae Young is getting the most ownership really out of all of the guards in this price range. I don't know why DeJounte Murray is getting more ownership than other guards here. Like, he's getting more ownership than Tyrese Halliburton by a little bit. He's getting more than De'Aaron Fox by a lot. I think DeJounte Murray is a good tournament pivot, but at his ownership, I think he's just going a little bit over-owned relative to other guys that project similarly, if not better.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it as well, especially considering just some of the things that DeJounte Murray has struggled at. It's not something where it's like, he's not shooting 30% from the field where we would expect him to all of a sudden see a big uptick. The shots are not there. in the same way that they've been in the past. The assists are not there, and it's because he's playing with another really ball dominant guard in Trae Young. So I'm with you. I think that the ownership is a little bit too high for him. As for other players on the team earlier in the day, I thought John Collins looked decent, which relative to his price, I still do think is the case. But by the time I'm uploading lineups, I just doubt I'm going to get there in any kind of significant way because really good value plays are about to open up. And it's just going to be for the millionth time ever on a big NBA slate, more stars and scrubs driven, or at least cheaper guys that are better points per dollar plays that open up relative to John Collins. But anything else you like from Atlanta?
So I kind of just to piggyback on what Jeremy Savage said, because I make fun of him a lot, but I think he had a good point here. So I completely agree. He said only a matter of time for DeJounte to go off again. I completely agree with that. He's just going to have games where he pops off. But if he does it on a 12-game slate where he's 10 to 12% owned, and that's more ownership than Tyrese Halliburton's getting, that's more than De'Aaron Fox is getting, I'm not going to be there. I would much rather, if I'm going to play the DeJounte Murray's going to go off at some point game, I'd rather be doing it when he's like 5%.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is there's the term "do" isn't the right word to use, but there is kind of a thing where players string together bad games, whether it be NBA, MLB, NFL, DFS, whatever it is, and the price starts to come down. But in addition to that, the ownership typically drops because people are like, this guy sucks, I don't want to play him anymore. It's very rare that the price stays the same and people just still continue to roster the guy. So the ownership is already accounted for on DeJounte Murray. You're not really getting any kind of price or ownership discount. So the field is already there. This isn't some spot where like you're getting different with them like you normally would in this kind of scenario.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I'd really like the idea of DeJounte Murray in tournaments tonight if Trae Young was 22% and Tyrese Halliburton was 18 and De'Aaron Fox was 15 and Murray was 5. I would be like debating you where it's just like, yeah, he's played poorly recently, but there's going to be a game soon where he goes for 60, 65. But here, the ownership's already there. Like we're projecting the field to say DeJounte Murray can go for 60, 65. Maybe he does it tonight. And I would rather just take the Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox guys that project better.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And let's move on to the next game. We'll try to go a little bit of a faster pace through some of these spots where we don't really care as much about. And one of them is going to be Dallas for me, particularly because Spencer Dinwiddie was downgraded from questionable to probable. Luka Doncic, if anybody was to ever play him, you couldn't fault them. But he is so expensive now that just better plays end up opening up. And I have not played very much of Giannis. I haven't played very much of Luka or even Jokic as of late, who's been my guy for the last couple of years, because I don't want to pay a premium for these guys when I get much higher projected lineups by saving a couple $1,000s and going to the Halliburtons, SGAs of the world. So Luka, there's obvious upside. I'm probably just not going to really play him today, though.
Same boat. Can't fault anybody for getting there, but it's just, look at your lineup when you have Luka. Make sure it's a lineup you really like. Make sure that you say, what happens if I turn Luka into De'Aaron Fox, DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, whatever. This is, I know sometimes people kind of complain because we talk about this from a 150 max angle, but back in the day when I was hand building lineups and playing, 5-10 lineups in large field tournaments, that's how I built lineups. But I'd kind of like start from the bottom up and be like, what are the best value plays? What are the guys I really want to get to? And then I would try and figure out, okay, where can I like downgrade to save money? And I'm not going to say like not lose ceiling because obviously Luka's more likely to go for 85 than anybody else, but like where can I still get like a really high ceiling and then upgrade elsewhere in my lineup? And that's kind of where you're at right now with Luka, with Giannis at the prices they're at. If you go that route, you're just going to find spots where you're like, all right, this lineup looks good, but what if I turn Luka into De'Aaron Fox and I have $3,400 more to use? And then it's just like, oh, well, this punt that I was just like, oh, I think this guy's sneaky. I think maybe he plays 22 minutes can just turn into a legit dude that plays 35 minutes and looks good. And you're just going to find so many pivots like that where it just makes it hard to want to get to Luka.
By the way, we just got word Isaiah Jackson is out. So little boost there for Miles Turner. And then also Jalen. Well. Yeah, so that is official. And I assume, by the way, kind of weird. The next injury report update comes at 5:30, and we just got this, 8 minutes in advance. But get ready for an avalanche of news that's going to be coming in the near future. One of those pieces. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So Terry, I wanted to point it out. Terry Taylor was with the G League recently. He's not, as of 4:30, he's not on the injury report. So I assume he's back. So my guess is Terry Taylor is the backup center, or Goga's the backup center. But they probably play less minutes than Isaiah Jackson was. So I do think it's a bump for Miles Turner.
This is also a brutal matchup for Terry Taylor. He's like a 6'6" center. Like I can't imagine he would find much success against Rudy Gobert, but we'll see what ends up
Well, I mean,
happening there.
it could be Naz Reid.
Yeah, that's true. Just backup center minutes and him playing like 12 or something like that.
Yeah,
But I do agree.
My point is that like I think you probably see more from Turner, and you're just getting like true backup minutes. Whereas like Isaiah Jackson's been playing like a legit role for Indiana.
Yeah, and I do totally agree with that as well. Terry Taylor, whoever plays the backup center minutes, probably doesn't step into all of the minutes that Isaiah Jackson was playing. But 7 minutes, next injury report comes out. If you guys have not done yet, do us a favor, like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And the next key piece of injury news that we're waiting on, Jason Tatum. He is questionable to play going up against Dallas. If he's in, I don't think there's all that much that's crazy appealing from Boston. But if he's out, Jaylen Brown looks a lot better. Marcus Smart, Al Horford. It's just so much usage and playing time that has to be allocated. Jason Tatum is one of the best players in the NBA. He's third currently in the MVP betting odds. There's a big void to fill if he is out. Who would look the best to you without Tatum?
Jaylen. So I think that the way I see this team, if Tatum is out, is that it's like a marginal upgrade from Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Grant Williams. I expect that you see Derek White move back into the starting lineup, but he's already 5K. The guy that I think gets that really big bump is Jaylen Brown. I think you just see this offense run through him. And it's not an ideal spot. It's a slow Dallas team. It's a solid enough, defensive Dallas team. But Jaylen Brown, in a little over 100 minutes this year, has like a 36% usage rate without Jason Tatum on the floor. I think there's a lot of just funneling the ball to Jaylen Brown to make the offense go. I don't expect it to be a spot where it's just like, oh yeah, Brown gets a little bit of an uptick, and so does Smart, and so does Grant Williams. I think it's like, all right, this is Jaylen Brown's offense, and he gets the big uptick, and then you get a little bit more Marcus Smart, you get a little bit more Horford and White, whatever.
We've got a super chat here from Jorge, and our guy Jorge, he's always hanging out in the Discord channel and loves asking questions coming in. He crushed baseball season this year. Jorge wants to know if this is the highest projected score game of the day. So I assume he's talking about the Kings Hawks. Would you want to focus more on some guys on this game? So I think this is an important point to talk about when it comes to projections. The total of the game is already going to be incorporated. If you're looking at the projections we have over at Stokastic.com, it's baked in. You don't want to look at those projections and then also say, oh, I want to boost Trae Young more because the total is high. Then you'd be double counting it. It's already being incorporated into there. And a lot of times when Adam and I are talking about some of these players and their projections, we're talking about why it is that they project well. So I wouldn't weigh it too much, Jorge, especially because I know you're already using our projections because it's already part of those projections.
Yeah, I agree with that. The one thing I would add is I've sort of played around recently. It's a little harder to do on bigger slates because for no other reason, it just slows things down. But I have played around with like sort of mini stacking games a little bit more. That's one spot where like that, if you wanted to go that route, it's going to just naturally pull up your Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella type guys that are like marginal plays, but at least they're in that game. And if that game does shoot out, if that game did happen to go to overtime, they're going to benefit as well. So that's the angle I think that you could take if you like along the lines of what you're thinking. Also, so I think it's a good thought too, where like we have the total projected, that's baked into the projections. But what if for whatever reason Trae Young isn't the guy, or DeJounte Murray isn't the guy, or De'Aaron Fox isn't the guy? Those points are still going to be there. That pace is still going to be there. And you're talking about a bigger game for, Herter or Barnes or whoever. So from that angle, I think it makes sense. But to what Greg said, yeah, you don't want to just be like saying like, oh, these guys project reasonably well. And also they're in the highest paced game. So they're even better.
Yeah, so that's kind of the way that I would sum it up, is just make sure you're not double counting. It depends what context you're looking at it from. Now, the next game, I don't know what to make of this, and it's one that I think we kind of have to punt it to the guys on the live before lock, because for the Wizards, Bradley Beal is questionable, Monty Morris is questionable, and Rui Hachimura is questionable. I have no clue who's playing for the Wizards, and we never know who's playing for the Heat anymore until right before the game starts. Do you have any takeaways from the Wizards in their current injury situation?
No, it's a mess. They all partially went through shoot around for whatever the hell that's worth. If Monte Morris is out, it should be more minutes for Jordan Goodwin, probably some more playing time for Will Barton. They're both cheap. Is Will Barton really $3,200 on DraftKings? I missed that earlier.
Yes, he is 30. He's $4,700 on FanDuel, and yeah, 32 on DK. So there's opportunity for him. We just don't know who's going to
Yeah,
be in
I
the
mean, he's
lineup.
been really bad, and the Wizards have seemingly noticed that and just
Yeah.
not giving him minutes, even when it seemed like they would. But I mean, he's 3,200. Jordan Goodwin's 3,900. If Morris is out, if Beal is out, if they're both out, both of those guys are going to look better. Also, if Beal is out, Kuzma and Porzingis start to look better. You're just talking about more playmaking opportunities, more usage. Those guys look better. Avdia and Kispert also just play more minutes. The more guys that are out. But from like a point per minute standpoint, first, you want to be looking to Porzingis and Kuzma because those are the guys that are the best. And again, then from a value standpoint, Goodwin and Barton at sub 4K. And then you get like Avdia, Kispert in that 4 to 5K range where like they're just like 0.85 fantasy point per minute guys. Kispert a little bit less. Playing more minutes, but still probably not looking as good as the top end guys or the best value guys.
Another follow up here from Jorge, a super chat for $50. We appreciate you, Jorge. And he says, thankful super chat. Thanks to this dynamic duo for the MLB season I had. And wife says, thanks as well, because we will spend Christmas in Disney Orlando. Thanks to the winnings. Thanks again. And happy Thanksgiving, guys. To everybody out there, yes, happy Thanksgiving, Jorge. We appreciate it. And also, Jorge gifted 20 YouTube memberships out there. So thank you very much, Jorge. We appreciate all of the support. From the Heat side of the game, kind of similar sentiments where Tyler Hero is questionable, Gabe Vincent is questionable, Dwayne Dedmon is questionable. I'm sure Bam Adebayo is going to look good when the dust settles, but I don't have any good reads on who else is going to be in or out for the Heat because their injury report's been a disaster over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, just hope we get this before lock. I mean, they if the questionable guys are in, Miami has 10 guys. And if all three of the questionable guys, Hero, Dedmon, and who's the third questionable? Vincent are in. Then they have 10 guys, and you're talking about still a bump for, Adebayo, Hero, Lowry because Butler is out. But Hero coming back in that situation would make Adebayo and Lowry look a little bit worse than they do or they have recently with Hero and Butler being out. If Hero is out and the other questionable guys are in, then Bam and Lowry start to look really good, and you're down to 9 guys, so you're getting a lot of minutes everywhere. If you were to get all the questionable guys ruled out, if they decide they're just going to chill and take it through Thanksgiving, you are right back to 7 guys, which is what we had the last time they played Miami, where Lowry played like 42 or 44 minutes. Actually went to overtime. He played 51 minutes. And you're just playing as much Miami as you can.
Yeah, so we're going to need an update there. It's just too hard to know, at least right now. And injury news starting to come in at the moment. We'll be hitting on that in a second, check on some of that. But shout out to No House Advantage, the sponsor of today's show. If you guys haven't signed up at NHA yet, click on the link below or click on the link that's about to be thrown into the YouTube chat. Because when you use that link, you can get up to a $50 bonus on your first deposit at No House Advantage. They have had contests with a ton of overlay this year. It's free money to yourself. You should be taking advantage of it. And they also have props you could play against the house over at NHA. So if you are in a state where maybe you're not as lucky as Adam, you don't have legal sports betting yet, there's a good chance you might have access to No House Advantage. You could still play player props over there against the house. So check out NHA. But when you sign up, make sure to use our link so you get a deposit bonus when you make your first sign up. I'm keeping an eye on the injury report. So far, just Delano Banton ruled out. I assume that some more stuff is going to come in. But Brooklyn Nets against the Toronto Raptors. Starting from the Brooklyn side of the game, it looks like they're going to be going with a Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton front court. Simmons is really popular today. There's nothing else that I really think of as of interest from the Nets. But what are you doing with a very popular Ben Simmons tonight, Adam?
I think he's still a really good play. I didn't have a lot of him last night, and it wasn't by design. I thought he was a really good play last night. I just didn't get there. He's getting a lot of ownership again tonight, but he's $200 less expensive than he was last night. It's just a broken price. And it's really frustrating for me personally because I was playing Ben Simmons a lot early in the year and getting shit on by chat every time I said to play Ben Simmons, and then Ben Simmons sucked and whatever. And now Ben Simmons is just back to being Ben Simmons. This guy was a 9K player not that long ago. He's a 9K player now, and he's $6,100. Play Ben Simmons. Like, it depends on the lineups, but with it being a 12-game slate, this is actually a weird spot where I think it's easier to play Ben Simmons tonight than it was last night in some regards. Obviously you had less alternatives last night, but tonight it's way easier to like plug in Ben Simmons and then find low owned guys that look good. Whereas last night it was like, all right, if I plug in 40% owned Ben Simmons, there's not that many guys on a 4-game slate that are going to get 5-10% ownership that are good plays. So maybe I'll just give up the 40% owned guy and hope that somebody keeps up with Ben Simmons at lower ownership. So in some ways, I think it's actually easier to play him tonight. I think he's very, very, very clearly the best play from the Nets.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. Nobody else that I really think stands out. Now, from the Toronto side of the game, interesting that we got an update on Delano Banton that he will not play. No update on Scotty Barnes, who remains questionable. If he is not able to play, what do we make of the Toronto Raptors, who are also missing Pascal Siakam? Would anybody really stand out as an option for you?
Sort of. I mean, so like Van Vliet's going to look good one way or the other. Right now we have Barnes projected in. Van Vliet is pulling 13.5% ownership at 7,800. Anunoby's pulling 76 on or pulling 11% at 7,600. Both of those guys are going to look good one way or the other. If Barnes is out, they'll look a little bit better. But I don't think Barnes makes a huge impact on them. They already have higher usage rates than Barnes. Van Vliet obviously is already very involved as a playmaker. Anunoby is not, so maybe you see a bump in assist percentage there. If Barnes ends up being out, you probably see Aaron Gomez back in the starting lineup, but Boucher is back as well, so you probably see like 25, 26 minutes instead of 30 plus from a $3,600 Wancho. So it makes him look like okay, but not great. Boucher at 6,200, probably playing upper 20s, but also kind of correctly priced for that. Thad Young's price has come up. I think one way or the other, Van Vliet and Anunoby are probably the guys I'm most interested in.
I don't like that we didn't get more injury news on the 5:30 slate. So all I can say is to Josh and Eric, good luck on Live Before Lock tonight, because there are so many players on the injury report, and it's not coming out anytime soon, is it?
Nope.
Yeah, there's
and they're probably going to get. So there's 24 teams playing tonight. None of them play tomorrow. They're probably going to get at least one team that is just like, oh yeah, by the way, we're just not playing, guys.
Yeah, it looks like Denver is going to be that team, but who knows? If it could be a mystery team that does the same. Next game here, the Chicago Bulls against the Milwaukee Bucks. This game is another one that I just don't have that much interest in. For the Chicago Bulls, it's been hard to parse what's going to happen between Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic. Somehow this team has actually been good defensively this year and terrible on offense. They're towards the bottom of the league in offensive adjusted rating, towards the top in defense. You can make a case for some of these guys in large field tournaments because they're individually good players that have upside and the prices have come down, but there's no real priorities here for me.
Yeah, Chicago is, I think, a weaker version of Minnesota tonight and very comparable to the Pelicans that we'll get to. Vooch, DeRozan, LaVine in particular, if you like them, if they fit into your lineup, they're good tournament plays because you can go to if you like Paul Reed, for example, it's the example I used this morning. You can go to a popular Paul Reed, play him with a popular Ben Simmons, mix in a $7,100 Zach LaVine who has a really high ceiling, and just, hope that LaVine goes off, or hope DeRozan goes off, or hope Vooch goes off. You can also throw Andre Drummond in there. He's 3,900. He's just going to have games that look like what Paul Reed did the other day, where he just basically wins you a tournament by himself. I said it this morning, like, you're going to fail a lot if every single slate that Andre Drummond is $3,900, you play Andre Drummond, you're going to fail a lot because on average you're going to get 32 to 34 minutes from Vooch, and you're going to get 14 to 16 from Drummond, and not going to be happy. But that one day, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that Andre Drummond plays 22 minutes for one reason or another, he's just going to be a tournament winning value play. So the upside is certainly there. You just have to keep in mind it's a low probability thing.
Yeah, and by the way, one thing I should note is that Justice Winslow is going to start for the Trailblazers ahead of Shadon Sharp. What is the price point on Winslow? Winslow is 4,000 on DK, and he is 4,400 on FanDuel. I assume that's something I'm going to end up getting to in tournaments. I'll have to figure out where I think minutes are going to go and whatnot. But just at first glance, that seems like a very favorable price tag.
Yeah, it is. He'd only played like 18 minutes last game too, so that's a really good sign for him. Just because I still had him at 24 minutes tonight, just because it's Justice Winslow and that's what they've been doing. But him starting is a really big signal that he's going to get minutes.
Yeah. So So Justice Winslow looks like a really good value play now. And on the Buck side of the game, kind of similar to what we talked about when it comes to Luka Doncic. I just don't think I'm going to get to Giannis very often. The issue that I have with Giannis is just he is so expensive that there's other guys that don't project comparably, but do have comparable upside for $2,000, $3,000 cheaper of a price that just end up fitting into lineups better. If I'm picking between the two, I'm more likely to have Giannis in lineups than I am to have Luka because Giannis is less expensive on DraftKings than over on FanDuel. His game is just a little bit more favorable with the extra bonus to the defensive stats. But I'm probably not going to end up playing a whole bunch of Giannis either.
Agreed. I saw Eric Johnson making the point in chat like Giannis is only 10% owned. It's like, yeah, because he's correctly priced. He's probably a little bit easier to get to than Luka because he's a little bit less expensive, and because he's at forward instead of guard, where like you don't have this whole range of $9,000 to $10,000 forwards that you do with guards, but you're just paying full freight. On FanDuel, it's probably a little bit easier. They've been pricing a little bit less than DraftKings, but it's the way I put it this morning, and I will try and articulate it now. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it as well as I did this morning, but Alex talks a lot about when you build a winning tournament lineup, the lineup that ends up winning, you're going to look back and be like, my projections were really bad across this entire lineup because the lineup basically performs at like at least one standard deviation better than they're projected across the board. And that's true. But when the top end guys used to be $1,000 less than they are now, including Giannis, you would get their median projection was just like good enough for you to win. And now it's not. They have to also be that one standard deviation better. So they're not really any more advantageous than your guys that are less expensive. And the only thing that they really change is that you can't get the same sort of volatility from some other spots in your lineup because you have less money to spend. So obviously if you get to Giannis, great, but tough to call him a priority when there's just so many guys that are less expensive than him.
Yeah, and a lot of high end stars on the slate as well. Where we've got guys like Halliburton, SGA that are cheaper that have shown to have massive upside this year. So Giannis, doubt I'm going to be really getting to him, and then Drew Holiday's also gotten to be really expensive on DraftKings and FanDuel. So nothing else to the Bucks stands out for me, and I mean that's kind of the situation with a handful of teams now, which is why we're able to spend a little bit more time on some of those value spots earlier because the next team, for instance, is the New Orleans Pelicans. They're taking on the San Antonio Spurs. I feel the same about New Orleans that we feel about Chicago. I feel the same way that we feel about Minnesota. If you get to a couple of these guys in a lineup as a one-off, cool. But there's nothing that really stands out from a pricing or value perspective.
Yeah, same boat. Drew Holiday, I mentioned in my tournament plays video earlier on FanDuel. He's 7,800. So, and this is someone that like he's produced at a high level this year. He's around 1.3, 1.27 FanDuel points per minute. He's slowly coming down in price. I don't mind getting there on FanDuel, but I also don't think he's a priority today with how good the guards are.
We've got a super chat here from William Collins. He wants to know Vooch or Jeremy Grant on FanDuel, and also is Brogdon a good play at 5K? I doubt I'm going to end up getting to Brogdon today, particularly not if Jason Tatum ends up playing. He would be a little bit more viable looking if Tatum's ruled out, but still, with all the names on the injury report, I have a feeling there's going to be much better plays that open up. As for Grant versus Vooch, let me check my projections. Off the top of your head, do you have a lean between Vooch and Jeremy Grant?
My immediate lean is Grant just because he's not center only. He's $300 less than he said FanDuel, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I need to pull up the pricing there.
Jeremy Grant.
Grant is 7,400. Vooch is
that's Vooch for me. If it's just 1v1, who scores more fantasy points? Vooch.
Yeah, I mean it's Vooch in terms of projection. I think Grant probably is easier to fit into lineups just because of the position. I do think Grant's playing 36, 37 minutes, which is obviously great. And then you just have the opportunity cost. So, yeah, if you're just in a situation where like if you have like a power forward center guy and you're saying, do I want Grant or Vooch? I think the answer is Vooch. If you're saying like, who do I put into a lineup first? It's kind of a weird question, but Grant would probably be the answer.
Yeah, I think it's funny because it's one of those things where just, hey, you're just filling out one lineup spot. Who do you play? And it's just who scores more fantasy points. The answer for me is Vooch. So yeah, I'll just make it simple. My answer is Vooch. And let's get back talking about Spurs and Pelicans here. We're on the Spurs side of the game. Another thing I don't really think we have to mess around with too much, because earlier in the day, Jakob Poeltl was listed as questionable. He's been upgraded to in. We don't have to worry about any of the Gorgie Jengs of the world or what's going to happen with Charles Bassey. To me, with Jakob Poeltl playing, there's nothing that really looks all that great from San Antonio either.
No, Poeltl being in's a pretty big deal there. Zach Collins going from probable to out. The Spurs have no idea what is ever going on with their injury report, which is just fantastic. I don't know if you saw it, but that pop press conference the other day with Devin Vassell was amazing. Like, just has no idea what the status of his starting shooting guard is an hour before tip.
No deal on Zach Collins. Like you said, he's gone from probable to out. He is a left fibula non-displaced head fracture, as we went over this morning. So
yeah, we went over it this morning, which this morning it made me miss like 2 minutes of you talking because I was just trying to figure out what a non-displaced head fracture is. Like, you're just like decapitated and hanging on. But
yeah, it's just Zach Collins just shows up. He doesn't have a head next game. Be like, oh, all right, he fits in with the Spurs team. They suck anyway. They probably aren't going to win. But yeah,
I mean, him being going from probable to out does raise more questions because like this morning, people were like, when we were describing the injury, the way it's worded, people were like, wait, so he's dead? And it was like, no, he's probable. And now he's out. So I don't know, maybe. But yeah, no, this is like, I don't know, the third time in the last week that they've done either probable to out or out to in, back to out. Yeah, I don't know. They're doing some weird shit. But yeah, Poeltl being in takes away some of that value. Like last game, we saw Gorgie Jang start. We saw Charles Bassey back him up. You can't really have much interest in either guy with Poeltl playing. Keldon's up to 7,400 on DraftKings. Vassell's at 7,200. Trey's at 61. Nothing that is going to stand out here on a slate where we're going to have a lot of really good spots to get to.
Yeah, and by the way, good point by Sotex. It's non-displaced, so his head has to still be attached because it's not displaced.
Oh, right. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. He's still got a head. Now, is it
so
fully functional?
Split, like...
Who's to say? Yeah, he's just got an axe wound in the middle of his face.
Right.
And by the way, we're just talking about the Spurs and just questionable injury reports. Well, for the Nuggets right now, Jokic is questionable. Jamal Murray is questionable. Michael Porter Jr. is questionable. Ish Smith is questionable. Bones Highland was already ruled out earlier in the day. My gut feeling here, I think all of these guys sit, and this is a game that the Denver Nuggets just used as a massive rest game heading into Thanksgiving. They played a terrible game last night against the Detroit Pistons, lost at home. I think there's just a reset spot for them. They give everybody the night off. That is my feeling. And if that is the case, I think Bruce Brown would look really good. I think Aaron Gordon would look really good. KCP, DeAndre Jordan, he would be a good value play at center. But Adam, what is your lean on the situation?
I don't feel quite as strongly as you, but I still think I lean towards them not playing. If I had to guess, like if you offered me even money, I think I would say Murray does not play and Jokic does. But I have very little confidence in that.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm the most confident in the world. I bet when the news came out, I bet OKC +4 because I did think that just made sense from a value standpoint.
I'm in a sports betting state now. I'm not used to that.
Yeah, there you go. You could get on this stuff now too. But my level of confidence that these guys said, I'm not going to say it's 70 or 80% or anything like that. It's more like at 65, 60%. I think they're more likely to sit than they are to play, but it's dicey.
Here's, and Stephen Leibowitz is on the same page as me. Yeah. Here's why I'm kind of hesitant. I said it earlier. There was never an injury report saying they were like probable or in. So I think they just have the same status they did yesterday. And yesterday they went out, they warmed up, they said, nah, we're good. Like we can breathe. We're going to play basketball. They already ruled Bones Highland out. Unless they just feel the need to play games, why would they list these guys as questionable? Like it's conditioning, it's rest. So like if they're just no matter what not going to play today, just rule them out. Which again, NBA teams don't always do.
Oh my god!
What did we get?
Scotty Barnes and Fred VanVleet are out. So this was news that certainly wasn't expecting from the Raptors. Let me just pull up this team now and just
Jordan McLaughlin also out.
Yeah, so going back and looking at Toronto, OG Anunoby, he is somebody who just off the top of my head is going to have to play a pretty big role. I think the guy I'm going to end up getting to the most here, or the plays I get to the most, it's probably going to be Gary Trent, and then I assume Boucher starts now.
Malachi Flynn, right? Am I missing something?
Oh, I forgot because they started banning at point guard
Right.
last game, and now he's out. So yeah, it's so many injuries. Once again, good luck, Josh and Eric. Stick around, guys. Watch the live before lock after us, because this is going to be stuff that requires a lot of updates. Yeah, I forgot because Delano Banton was also ruled out 17 minutes ago.
And
By the
also,
way,
if anybody had the crazy idea of trying to get minutes this year without Van Vliet, Siakam, or Barnes on the floor, Delano Banton leads the way at 61. So have fun with those sample sizes. But yeah, I mean, I assume Malachi Flynn's playing a lot now.
Jason Tatum will play. How does it come to be that an injury report comes out 17 minutes ago? They know Banton is out, but the other guys are not sure of. And then 17 minutes later, they find out that Fred VanVleet wasn't even on the injury report.
Right.
He won't play.
Illness,
Scotty Barnes out as well. So
did he just go straight from like shoot around, like warming up, to just like puking somewhere?
I guess. Maybe he watched soccer and drank too much this afternoon.
Right.
A couple more spots left to talk about before we head out. So let's hit on the Oklahoma City Thunder and Pokashevsky. He is now listed as questionable for them. As far as pay up options go, I'm always going to be getting to SGA to some extent, kind of in the same boat as Tyrese Halliburton for me. Somebody who's just constantly making into 10, 15% or so of lineups. And then Josh Giddey also. He has been playing bigger minutes as of late. Now, every once in a while, every 4 or 5 games, he kind of gets fucked with his minutes. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, Josh Giddey isn't starting the second half and he finishes with 20 minutes, but recent games, 34 minutes, 37 minutes, that 20-minute game against Washington, 34-37, a 22-minute game against Toronto. Considering where Giddey is priced reasonably on both FanDuel and DraftKings, he's picking up some ownership, but I like him in the mid-range. So Giddey and SGA, both guys that I'm going to be playing today. Adam, are you on the same page? And anything else you like from OKC?
Yeah, same page. Giddey looks good at 7K. He's kind of in a price range too, where like it's going to be easy to get to just because a lot of the guards that we like are more expensive. SGA is a little bit more expensive than the guards that we like, but he's SGA. The guy's really good. He looks good. Our ownership projection on him right now is still 5%, so he's going to look good. I like those two guys. I have no confidence level in anything else on this team, especially because Pokashevsky went from out to questionable, so I'm assuming he plays, which just makes things muddier. Also, I have 2FA on my DraftKings account. My phone is dead. I'm trying to log in to bet the Nets, and I can't, and I'm really pissed off right now.
Yeah, we both have missed the window at that point. So no, I'm going to bet the Nets are still only minus 120 right now.
I'll say they were listed at minus 1.5 at like minus 110, 115. And it was like, you're logged out. And I went to log back in. And so it was like, we sent a code. And I realized my phone was dead. And now I'm just pissed off.
Yeah. So the line has moved a little bit, but I still think there's some value to be had right there on the Nets. So I'm betting them right now. But yeah, close to a pick'em game. And I do think the Nets make some sense in that spot from that angle. Toronto down a bunch of guys. Now, from the OKC point of view, anything else you want to add about the Thunder?
Don't trust anything except SGA and then some Josh Giddey.
All right. So Adam and I were just talking about sports betting. Adam lives in Maryland. Now, something you do in Maryland. Now legally, you can bet on sports. And you guys should be taking advantage of all the sign-up offers that are available at different sportsbooks. Right now, the deal we have with BetMGM is if you sign up by clicking on our link and then you place a $10 money line bet on any World Cup soccer game, it's going to pay out $200. That is all there is to it. I understand the language on the link says as long as there's a goal scored, but that means for the entirety of the World Cup, and there's already been a goal scored. So you place a $10 money line bet. Doesn't matter which team you bet on. Doesn't matter the results of that game. When the game ends, though, it's going to pay you out $200. So take advantage of this offer as well as any other sportsbook sign-up offers you see. It's a really easy way to make some free money. Couple games left here. The next one, the Detroit Pistons against the Utah Jazz. From the Pistons side of the game, they had a pretty surprising win over the Denver Nuggets yesterday. Something that the Detroit Pistons don't typically do is win basketball games. Tough matchup today against the Utah Jazz, who have been really good this year. And nothing's really standing out to me from Detroit. Alec Burks could get ruled out, but the minutes are so hard to project here.
Yeah, it's tough. Like Alec Burks was showing up a little bit earlier. I think I mentioned him for FanDuel in my tournament plays video. Now he's questionable, conditioning, same as the Denver guys. But this team's a mess because you just have a bunch of interchangeable pieces that mostly suck. Isaiah Livers played 24 minutes yesterday. So did Kevin Knox. Knox had played 22 minutes the game before as well. I mean, at this point, I guess you have to mention Kevin Knox, but also probably not playing him on a 12-gamer. I didn't play him on a 4-gamer yesterday. It's pretty tough to want to get there today. What to me the most interesting part of this team, well, I guess it's Ivy and Bogdanovich. Like those guys are clearly the pieces you can trust the most, but they've gotten a little expensive too. Ivy's at 7K on DraftKings, Bogdanovich is at 6,500. This center rotation, though, you're getting a situation where they're priced like nobody knows what the rotation is going to look like, and they're rostered like nobody knows what the rotation is going to look like. We've seen this year where Isaiah Stewart and Duren have like a 29-21 split in Stewart's favor. Then Bagley came in when Stewart got hurt. Bagley seemingly was going to play that same Stewart rotation. Then he had a game where he was in foul trouble and Duren played a lot more. Yesterday, he wasn't in foul trouble. Duren still played a lot more. So I think this is kind of similar to the Sixers, where I have no idea which guy plays 27 or 28 minutes. But if $4,800 Marvin Bagley plays 27 or 28, or 4,700 or 4,300 Jalen Duren plays 27 or 28, I want them in my lineups at low ownership.
Yeah, it's just really hard to, and it's not just it's every single spot on the team where even you'd say like, all right, we could be confident about Jaden Ivey's minutes. But remember the first game that he started, or not that he started because he'd been starting anyway, but the first game he played without Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey was really popular. He played like the least amount of minutes that he had played in weeks at that point. So it is so hard to know what the minutes are going to be like. There's individual reason to think guys have upside. It's just hard to be confident in anything. Now, on the other side with Utah, there's kind of a similar situation to a lesser extent because Mike Conley is out, and it's hard to know between Malik Beasley, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Colin Sexton, who's going to get the bulk of the minutes. Sexton did start last game, ended up playing high 20s minutes. But which of these guards stand out the most to you for Utah, if any of them, without Conley playing?
Yeah, so one follow-up for chat. People are like, Bagley sucks. It's the Duren show, blah, blah, blah. I agree Bagley sucks. The person you have to convince is the team that just paid him a shit ton of money to play on their basketball team. Marvin Bagley's not there on like a 1-year minimum deal. They paid this dude, so I don't know that they're convinced yet. But as far as Utah goes, and I do agree, like Duren's the guy that should be getting the minutes, but I don't know if they do. As far as Utah goes, I'm really interested in Colin Sexton. He's just still cheap. He's 4,400 on DraftKings. He played 28 minutes last game, which was mildly disappointing in his start, but realistically, that should still be 27 or 28 DraftKings points for him. And if he's playing well, he can easily get to 32 minutes. So I think he looks good. I think Beasley looks fine. He's been playing more recently anyway. Now you have Conley out as well. He's 4,800. And then, Markkanen, Clarkson, Olynyk, Vandy, those guys are all still reasonably priced. Taylor Horton-Tucker is kind of the wild card here. He's 4,300. He closed last game, but he still only played 20 minutes. So I don't think the rotation last game looked very appealing, but you can play the game where it's like, well, what if instead of just closing the first or the end of the game over Sexton, what if he closes both halves and he gets to 24 minutes? Then Horton-Tucker looks really good, but I have a hard time projecting him to do that. It's more of like a, play him and hope for the best type thing.
Yeah, and by the way, on the Bagley point, so they just gave him a 3-year deal worth about $40 million. He's only played 6 games for them. You can't, somebody you just paid $40 million to, you don't just punt it after 6 games after signing the contract.
I mean, you do if you realize 6 games in that you've made a stupid decision, but you also should lose your job at that point.
Yeah, so that's also something that we only have a few minutes left, so I won't get into, but that's also part of the issue with decision makers also needing to protect their jobs and having their own self-interest maybe ahead of the own basketball team. Like there's too much reason for Detroit to not want to just punt on Marvin Bagley after 6 games, because that's somebody basically admitting to the owner, hey, I just foolishly spent $40 million of your money. And after 6 games, I've realized I made a horrible mistake and we're giving up on it. It's a hard sell from that decision-making point of view.
Yeah, I mean, if your owner is like an econ major, he'll appreciate sunk cost and all that. But I don't think many people are that willing to just give up $40 million.
Yeah, he's not going to be like, oh, cool, sunk cost. You just wasted $40 million. But because it's good economic,
at least you realized it right away.
Yeah, at least we identified the problem early when they really should have realized it was before they.
Well, and the thing in the Bagley case, it's not like something happened and he became worse. Everybody was like, what the hell are they doing when they did it? So you can't 6 games later be like, oh, I messed up.
It's not great when the 2 teams that are invested in you over the course of your career are the Kings and the Pistons. Like if those are the 2 teams, probably something has gone awry with your career and how you're being evaluated. But final game on the slate, and for the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard's been a mess this year. We know about the return from the knee injury not going all that well, but now he's got an ankle injury as well, so he's out. Paul George also is going to be out for a little bit of time. He's got a hamstring injury. Looks like he's looking at an absence of a couple weeks or so. With both these guys out, Who stands out the most from the Clippers? Who's going to pick up most of the usage?
So I think the starting lineup's going to tell us a lot here, but I think it's also important to pay attention to who gets or who's likely to produce the most fantasy points per minute. And John Wall is at 1.2 DraftKings points per minute with a 32% usage rate and a 45% assist percentage in like 120 minutes without George and Leonard on the floor this year. So what that says to me is if Wall comes off the bench, he's likely to just be amazing for whatever minutes he's out there. And there's also a good chance that he plays additional minutes because we have seen when they're shorthanded recently that they'll play him and Jackson next to each other. We even saw them start the second half of a game recently alongside each other and play the entire third quarter next to each other. So even if Wall comes off the bench, I think you're just going to see massive rates from him. If he starts, those rates probably go down, a little bit, playing more minutes alongside Jackson, more minutes alongside Morris and Zubats. But you're also talking about more minutes to offset that. So I think John Wall is going to look good one way or the other. I think Morris at 5,700 is going to look good. Reggie Jackson at 5,500. He hasn't been very productive without George or Leonard on the floor so far this year, but he also has a 40% true shooting percentage. Like that has to come up. The dude's bad, but it has to come up. So he's going to get a lot of opportunities. Norman Powell's played the most minutes without them on the floor. He has a 30% usage rate, and he's averaged 1 DraftKings point per minute despite sucking overall this year. Terrence Mann's 3,400 and likely to play a bunch of minutes. Zubats probably plays more minutes here. The Clippers in general are just a really, really, really good team to get to. Late swap around what the starting lineup is, but I think you have basically 6 guys here that look good. And then if you want to start throwing darts at like Nick Batum, you can do that too.
And then on the Warriors side of the game, we've got everybody who was resting last game expected to be back in the mix. So Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, all of them will be in. Of those guys, Steph Curry looks the best to me, not just in terms of who should score more fantasy points, but even just relative to price. But nothing really a priority for me. Anything that you do really like from the Warriors?
No, I mean, goes without saying, Steph Curry's a really good play. The issue is just Shea, De'Aaron Fox, Young, Murray, all those guys. But if you get to Steph, great. Wiggins, Thompson, Green, all just totally mediocre secondary plays to me where they land in a lineup here or there, but they're not anything you're building around. And I don't really think there's anything else.
All right, that is going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for watching, but don't go anywhere. Do click the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done it already. But stick around. NBA Live Before Lock is coming next, and Eric and Josh are about to get screwed by news.
20 minutes. And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It is Wednesday, November 23rd. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Eric Lindquist. We are brought to you by No House Advantage. We have a 12-game NBA slate ahead of us. There's been some ridiculousness already out of the gate. I can only imagine we're going to get even more over the next 55 minutes. And then the extra half hour from 7 to 7:30. So buckle up, everybody. I hope you guys enjoy the ride as we slowly but surely get ourselves into Thanksgiving, because the moment that this show ends, the only thing we're thinking about is Thursday. So hit that like button if you haven't done it already. And given that Greg was hosting, I'm sure you haven't. Subscribe to the channel. Also hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Eric, what's going on, man? It's been a while since we've done a show together because I didn't do this show last Wednesday. I don't know. Wait, were you gone last Wednesday?
I was gone last Wednesday. I was gone for 2 weeks, apparently. No, it was like 9 days. I was gone 9 days. Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't seen you in a while on the show. What's going on, buddy?
I'm doing well. Excited for Thanksgiving like everybody else. It'll be fun. NFL, DFS, family stuff, whichever order you want to put those in, let me know. But very much looking forward to last day of NBA here before Friday. So a little bit of a break. It feels like it, at least. I usually work pretty late nights, so getting an opportunity to not have NBA tomorrow is a very nice fortuitous thing.
Yeah. And NFL DFS is sort of like spending time with your family. It's awful. Or something along those lines.
My God, coming in hot.
It's NFL DFS. The only good thing about NFL DFS tomorrow is that it's a 3-game slate. So, I mean, obviously you play all the showdowns and stuff, but 3 games, I'm not going to feel like I'm going to regret everything that's about to come out of my mouth. I'm not going to feel like I totally miss out on some guy. I'm probably going to have shares of whatever I need until whoever Joe Schmo scores 3 Thanksgiving touchdowns and does the dirty bird in the end.
Josh Reynolds, if he plays. I just get that feeling. Josh Reynolds, just throwing it out there.
I feel pretty comfortable saying this on an NBA show and not saying it on tomorrow's show when I host it. But what team is Josh Reynolds on?
Detroit Lions. He's been out for a long time. He might be on a snap count, but we'll see.
I was going to say the Rams. I think he used to be on the Rams.
I think he did. Yeah. Was it Rams or Tennessee? It was one of those two.
I think it might be both, actually.
Might have been both. But yeah, I don't know. He was playing well until getting hurt, and DJ Chark sure ain't it, and Khalifa Raymond sure ain't it. I was doing a lot of NFL research this afternoon, so getting everything set to go because I kind of don't want to do it later tonight. Get up early here on the West Coast and be ready to rock there. But Josh Reynolds, aka Korkmaz, yeah, the Korkmaz thing, it could have worked out even better yesterday, but the fact that he was the first guy off the bench, man, did that feel good.
I'm sure that it did. It didn't feel great for me. That much I could tell you. One thing I want to touch on, Malakar said it. Kennedy is a good punt. I'll say this right now. There's no chance that Tom Kennedy is good at anything.
Oh, wow. Had to go for the boss man, the up top.
No. Tom Kennedy is a wide receiver for the Lions. You must have misunderstood. I think he's on the Lions, at least. You must have misunderstood what I was saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Not the CEO of our company or anything.
No, not at all. I like when I get my paycheck.
So it's better than the alternative, which is
I don't want to get Milton Adams, man. I don't want to just keep showing up here doing shows and I have not received my paycheck. All I'm going to get is a stapler and then I'm going to burn my house down.
I'm the only person who got that because Office Space. Well, actually, no. I have a feeling our audience picked up on that. I would hope so.
It's a cult favorite.
Okay.
I liked it a lot before I understood it. And then I got into corporate life and cubicle life. And I was like, oh, yeah, I definitely wish I could just gut a fish on my desk and tell everybody that I want to burn the place down.
I will say the best thing about my life is that I've avoided that completely. I'm not built. I'm too happy-go-lucky. I'm too frenetic. I'm too all the things to sit in a desk for 8 hours, 9 hours a day. I cannot even imagine what that's like.
I felt it killing me on a day-to-day basis. So I got out as fast as I could. And I ended up here. So thanks, Tom Kennedy, the CEO, not Tom Kennedy, the wide receiver. Great transition there for us.
Well done. Well done.
We got a shit ton of super chats just since we've gotten started.
Wow.
It's probably in our best interest to dive into those first. We're going to be here for the next 51 minutes, and then we're going to tack on another half hour. I want to let everybody know right now, you're going to get a very composed Josh for all of this show because we have 12 games, and there's going to be a shit ton of news. It just seems like it's going to be awful. A couple teams, we just don't know what they're doing. Miami, Washington, Denver. However, I'm not playing this slate. I got too much Thanksgiving stuff to do, so I will be able to handle anything that pops up and walk you guys through it. So you're going to get the best live before lock you could possibly get out of me because on normal Wednesdays, I just have to worry about myself.
Yeah. Well, here you go. Appreciate you because I'm taking the opposite approach where yesterday I got like top 10 in the $4, had a couple of good lineups and was like, you know what? We're just going to fire it all right back into the middle here. So I'm playing a little bit more than normal here on a nice Wednesday. I also had been gone for a week and a half. I kind of missed it. So wanted to fire it up. We're ready to rock. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Ben Anthony with the super chat. That was the first one that I saw. He said, I'm behind on news. What are the top value plays? Well, a lot of them have just shown up in Toronto now that there is no Fred VanVleet and no Scotty Barnes. So whether that's Malachi Flynn, 4,300 on DraftKings, 4,600 on FanDuel. Gary Trent now. I mean, if you're talking value as in like super pay down guys, Paul Reed is hanging out there. He is quite popular and was yesterday 3,700. Colin Sexton's 4,400. He's pulling 20-something% ownership on the DraftKings side. Thad Young now, not necessarily a value price at 5,500, but certainly a outstanding point per dollar play now. We've got Terrence Mann, Shake Milton at 55. I mean, there's just a never-ending supply of really good point per dollar plays.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. Obviously, when you talk about it from a late swap perspective, you're going to get some late news that shows up and they're going to be underowned. But there's good plays now at the beginning of the slate. There's good plays at the end of the slate. There's good plays everywhere. Waiting to kind of update some of my stuff here in a second, but for the most part, everything you said. I mean, Paul Reed was not popular yesterday. He was like 7-8% on DK, and jamming that ended up being kind of the difference maker for a lot of people, more so than 15% Korkmaz or 18% Korkmaz or whatever I ended up with. But Paul Reed, he's a phenomenal play again today. I was thinking that I was going to just find myself to more Harrell, but we'll kind of see how the starting lineups pan out. Paul Reed is still, I think, the better player of the two, and I want to just get there. But now the field is there in a very prominent way. Shake Milton, Terrence Mann, all of these guys make sense. I think Colin Sexton, I'm a little apprehensive, even at 4,400, just the role on his team, on this team, and even in his starting spot, what we've kind of seen out of him. Not the most enthusiastic thing, sans Mike Conley, but you hit on all the bullet points. I have no disagreement with anybody you said.
We got another super chat then from Goody. He said, hey guys, one thing I've struggled with is late swap. Is there a video showing best practices using late swap optimizer? Gonna need it tonight. Thanks. I honestly don't know. My assumption is that we have one somewhere on our YouTube channel, but I legit don't know. So if anybody's watching and ever watched a late swap video for us, feel free to just shoot that into chat. And obviously the link isn't going to work, but at least let us know that that exists. From a late swap perspective, it kind of depends on when you're doing it.
Yep.
There's a very big difference between a late swap with like 2 games to go and you're getting to the late night hammer. And then if you're doing it at 7:30 because all of that news came out and you have 10 more games to go. So it's tough to answer that just in general because everything you sort of need to do is a little bit different depending on how many games are left.
Yeah, and not only that, but you're going to have different settings in Cruncher, and everybody kind of does that a little bit differently. I think the most important thing to do is just trial and error. I would play really, really cheap, whether that's maxing out the nickel on FanDuel, whether that's just playing like the mini max or quarter arcade on DK. Just play a lot of really cheap lineups. Even if you're somebody who typically plays, like 20 max in the $1, $4 on DK, whatever it is that you do. Get used to what happens when things go wrong. I think that's otherwise it's just standard late swap. You're going to get plays as it updates throughout the day. We have the guys here at Stokastic update the stuff, and you're going to be able to get those different plays that pop up throughout the day to account for news that'll show up in your lineups. You just upload those to DK, but The intricacy of late swap is figuring out, all right, I'm not getting any of this player. Why? I'm getting too much of this player. Why? I'm not getting, there's error messages because things aren't crunching. Well, do you have a minimum setup? Do you have like 2 uniques instead of 1? Do you have all these other things? Just kind of understanding when things go wrong, how to quickly adjust them. I think that that's probably the most important thing that you can do when you're starting out with late swap. There's obviously a sorting process. Everybody does it a little bit differently. I do it different from you, different from Terry, different from Greg. Guys in MLB and NBA, it's very, very different late swapping those. So just kind of get used to it, playing at cheap stakes. And obviously, I do think we've got to have something online or on the website to be able to check out. But just really through experimentation is how you figure out what the late swap process should be.
We are on the same page there. My biggest note would be when it's early, I tend to set Fantasy Cruncher up so that it won't create any lineups lower than the projection that I had previously, like lower than my lowest. So whatever my lowest projected lineup would be in those 150, let's just say that we get news at 725 or something. We're trying to turn that over for 730. I will, if I have to move quickly, set the minimum FP to be whatever my minimum was before so that I don't create any lineups that are ever going to be any worse than what I already had.
Totally.
Doesn't really change too much, but it's just one of those quick things where it stops you from having FC create a couple lineups that are like legit ass at the bottom just to fit everything in.
Yeah, so a quick way to do that too, just sort your lineups. Make sure that you take a look and see what the projection is. I would always, something I like to do when I'm not on shows is I will literally by hand write out what my optimal lineup is before the slate starts and kind of look at it. So if things are really, really off, I kind of have something to go back and look at. Things change throughout the day constantly, but just kind of knowing that if I'm like 40 points, 50 points off of something in that direction, I'm probably getting some riffraff that I don't want to have. And then I don't have to go through and comb through 70, 80, 90 players that might be in your pool on the day. You can kind of know exactly what's wrong pretty instantaneously.
Absolutely. And then Avi hit us with the super chat. Was so close to first on FanDuel. Josh, thanks for the help. 1 switch away from first place in 3K. Wish you could have made that switch, but I'm glad you had a good night. Didn't. I wish I would have listened to my advice.
What was your advice?
Oh, I don't know, but apparently whatever I said for Avi helped because it didn't help me.
Yeah, it ended up being a good night for me. Good night for a lot of guys. But yeah, obviously, if you didn't have Paul Reed, it was probably a tough day.
I had precisely 0 shares. He was not cheap on FanDuel, and I don't regret that one bit. I would not go back and make that change. And then Brad with the super chat. This one's for you. Good call on Korkmaz, Eric. Viva la France.
Thank you. It's always weird when you get on a slate and you're just like, I am playing 15% of a guy who's projected for 3 around the industry. Like legitimately, like 2-3 minutes, nobody had him in. And I was actually watching your process show on Tuesday morning and going through the different things. And because I just can't sleep. My clock is just so messed up. But fantastic stuff. Kind of talking through some of the Sixers stuff. I put it side by side with some of my stuff, and he showed up. So that was fortuitous.
We got more super chats to hit on as we keep this one moving. We're already 18 minutes into this one, and all we're hitting are your guys' questions. It makes me feel good. So you guys should make us feel good by hitting that thumbs up button on the video. This is a time to give thanks. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and you can give thanks by simply clicking the like button. It's a pretty easy ask, and it costs you nothing. If you want to feel the gift of giving, you can do that by clicking the thumbs up. Michael McKinney, 5 favorite cash plays on FanDuel. That I can take a quick look at. Malachi Flynn, 4,600. Currently projected for 56% ownership on FanDuel. Go ahead and check that box immediately. Marcus Morris, Gary Trent, OG Anunoby probably now, Darius Garland to an extent, Jordan Clarkson. A lot of the names that I'm naming are some of the most heavily owned guys on FanDuel for today.
Yeah, and they should be. Malachi, Thad Young, Reed is what on FanDuel today. Yeah, 5,400. I know that seems absolutely insane, but there you go. It's him and Zulats, 1-2 in some capacity at center. But yeah, Boucher, Trent, Malachi Flynn, Thad Young. You're playing 4 Raptors probably in cash at the moment.
Malcolm Guest, I assume this is a DraftKings question, but I'm not sure. Best 3,900 or under play?
Paul Reed, but he's super insanely popular. I still haven't made a stance on what I'm going to do there. I think it's going to just depend on what happens the next 40 minutes up until lock. Obviously, that's a position gone right away, and everybody is going there this time around that missed out yesterday, as they probably should. But would it surprise you if Montrezl Harrell ended up on the better side of the split? It wouldn't surprise me at all. That was kind of the reason that I liked Reed yesterday. Is Harrell I thought would get more attention. He only ended up like 22, 25% on DK, depending on the tournament. And Paul Reed ended up around 7 to 10% everywhere. And now you flip flop them. Naturally, that makes me want to think as a tournament player, go play Harrell. But Paul Reed, if you've got 3,900 under and you're going for one player, he makes the most sense, not close.
Yeah, he's the best guy there. If you want somebody that isn't Paul Reed, if you already have him, $3,400 Terrence Mann stands out. I think he's going to get the start for the Clippers. So I would like that. Yeah. Do you want to know why Harrell's going to smash tonight? Because I 3x the field on Montrezl Harrell last night, and I'm not playing today. So if anybody's curious what's going to play out, I promise you it's a Montrezl Harrell day.
Montrezl on my Nezzle. Here we go.
Avi hit us with another super chat. Back to FanDuel we go. Garland, Anthony Simons, or Kyrie for a FanDuel GPP?
Well, Cruncher's still being difficult. Let me pull this up in my spreadsheet. So Anthony Simons was the one that I heard. Darius Garland was the other one I heard. And who was the last one?
It's Garland, Simons, and Kyrie. They are 87. Kyrie's 8,700. The other two guys are 8,300.
Yeah, I can't do Kyrie in any way, shape, or form. I've been playing a lot of Anthony Simons compared to the field. If they're going to be competitive in some of these spots without Lillard, he's the main catalyst. I've been taking a lot of over on his points prop as well. I like him a lot, but on FanDuel, just looking at it, he's completely unowned. He probably should be at 8,300. I would say Darius Garland, and probably not close.
It sort of depends on what else is in your lineup for me, given the ownership is 1% to Irving, unowned to 1% to Simons, and 20 to Garland. Mm-hmm. If you're already off the beaten path, then I think the answer is Garland. I have Kyrie projected the highest of the three by less than a full point over Garland. So if you're already chalky and you can go to Kyrie, my answer is Kyrie. If you're not chalky, then my answer is Darius Garland.
Agreed. That's a good way of putting it, because obviously Kyrie Irving, would it surprise you if he goes for 55? I'm just worried about what those minutes are on a back-to-back. He didn't play for 2 weeks, and he played Sunday. He played obviously the absolute abortion clinic that was Tuesday there. That was terrible. And now Wednesday, we'll see. They assumably want to. Oh, we got Tyler Hero in. I got to assume that they want to definitely be playing full blast here in this spot. At least I hope so. I have a lot of Ben Simmons at the moment, but he's at least cheaper. And there you go. I can't get to Kevin Durant on this slate in any way, shape, or form. But Kyrie, at even a 9,100 on DK, I'm getting to a little bit.
Fantasy Guru 76, top pay up option at point guard on FanDuel. You guys are really hitting me with the point guard questions today. Or sorry, with the FanDuel questions today. Now the point guard questions would be really irrelevant.
On the day you're not playing and I'm only on DK. Let me pull it up here. I still think, I mean, if I were playing FanDuel, I would probably find ways to get to Luka at 12K still over there. We've got him optimal right around 12%. There's a little bit of negative leverage going up there, so pay attention to that. You get the 10-4. Steph Curry's kind of always up there, and you're getting a little positive leverage on a guy that can go put up 65, 70. So that's always fun. This Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox thing is really weird to me, considering they're $200 apart and 7 points in terms of projection. We have a difference between the two. I find De'Aaron Fox very interesting, not point chasing in any way, shape, or form. This is just an offense in a game with a 241 total now. 9,700 De'Aaron Fox. I would find ways to be over 2% De'Aaron Fox on FanDuel. That's for sure.
My answer actually is DeJounte Murray. So we're talking about the same game, 9,500, just 7% owned right now. I think he's going underrepresented for this range. I would be happy to get to Fox. I think he's also getting underrepresented at that 2% ownership mark. So I think either one of those guys is totally fine with me. And I'm never going to be in a position to be like, well, don't play Luka, Shea, Steph Curry. Like, those guys are always really good. But For the price tag, for the ownership, my answer is DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, I do not mind that.
How are we 25 minutes into this already?
It's just wild. There's just so much to do. I mean, so much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets?
Poku will play today.
Whoop-de-doo, Basil. What does it all mean?
Another super chat from Avi with the explanation on the lineup from last night. Swap was Korkmaz for Knox and Craig for Herter. Would have been 381. Milton, Melton, Payne, Craig, Bogdanovich, Korkmaz, Davis, Simmons, Reed was my entry. I was on Knox and Herter too. You always feel
1%.
Yeah,
Kevin Knox.
Yeah, he was unknown.
Yeah, it didn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. Not having.
Jake Lewis says, "What's up with Fantasy Cruncher right now?" Down-ish, I believe.
Yeah, it's once in a while loading up and then it goes away. I've moved some stuff into another sheet and I'll figure out if I need to just send an email quick here to get some lineups out if need be. Let me see if anything's filled over here on DK.
If you have it open and it's running, don't close that tab. Don't refresh that tab.
Yeah. Good note.
Only check it in a different new tab. That's what you got to do.
Also, we have 35 minutes. If we get this thing up in the next 20 minutes, it's not going to be apocalyptic. If it ends up being 350, 650 for everybody out on the East Coast with real time, there you go. We'll probably be in a little bit more, but I'm still calm. We still got you.
I'll tell you what, I'd be panicking like crazy if I were on the show and playing today.
I'll be okay.
It would not be soothing for me.
Nah, there's ways around it. We can get it done.
Avi says Gordon Hayward goes off historically versus Philly. I would not be looking at those historical numbers, but I do like Gordon Hayward today. Do you have any thoughts on Gordon Hayward against Philadelphia? He is my favorite Hornet.
Oh, okay. Well, it's no LaMelo Ball. We got him for 3 games, and then he's off to wherever. The thing about Gordon Hayward on DraftKings where I'm playing, 6,300. He's played some massive minutes, 42-37 now in his 2 games since he returned. He sat out the one with that shoulder deal. I think he rested he played on Friday. Okay, cool. I just know that I was out and about doing other things on a different continent, but Gordon Hayward, 6,300 on DK. He's fine, but that's also, if you're playing like 1 lineup or 3 lineups, that's a position that you're using up early. And I'm guessing you're probably going to have some kind of Philadelphia exposure already. I want to leave myself some kind of late swap ability, and 6,300 Gordon Hayward doesn't feel like a must. But if the slate started right now, would have a little bit, and I would be just fine with that.
I think it's the perfect time now to get this in here for No House Advantage. We got to talk about them because there is a contest out there today, and I talk about it regularly. How you should just go out of your way to get to this. This one's bigger than it normally is. There's the 15. Okay, there's a link in the description. Don't pull it up yet. Wait until you hear what I'm about to say.
Okay.
There's a link in the description of this video. Head on over to No House Advantage. Sign up. When you sign up using that link, you're going to get up to a $50 deposit match bonus. So put in 50 if you can. They'll match it with 50. You'll get up to $100. Their main contest for today, because we got to pick player props, over-unders. We got free tools. I'll get to that in a second. The NBA 15K slam dunk, 5K to first, will take 1,200 entries. That's the max amount of entries you can get for today. We are 31 and a half minutes from lock. This contest has 19% filled.
What?
223 of the 1,200 entries are in right now. This isn't even going to half fill.
What?
So here's what you guys should do. Listen to me right now. If you can do this, just do it. It's going to be the best thing that happens to you for today. They're going to come dangerously close to just paying out everybody. We have No House Advantage projections on Stokastic.com. Completely free for you guys. We take every prop that's available. We give it a percentage of going over under. You can choose from that information if you want. You rank them all on a confidence interval. Your favorites at 10, second 9, work your way down. Or if you want to do even less work, we have No House Advantage optimal lineups already generated for you guys. You can just take them and enter them directly into No House Advantage. There is not going to be a better contest for you to enter anywhere in the industry today. And based on the amount of overlay that I am seeing in this, there's possibly not going to be a contest better than this anywhere all year. Just go get free money right now. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you can't win in this scenario, pack it in. Just got to say it. But go check out No House Advantage. Use our free tools because 220, it's 19% filled. 19.
Jesus. Is it 19?
19. I was shocked when I thought I was looking at like tomorrow's NFL contest.
Dude, that's wild.
If you're trying to, there's a super chat from Skip. If you're trying to late swap, what Sixers would you lock in?
So again, I'm not locking any Sixer in. I actively try to make cases against getting to some of these guys, but not today. They're too good of plays point per dollar. Paul Reed, Montrezl Harrell. I'm not locking anybody in, but I like Harrell. I like Melton. I like Milton. We just got the starting lineup. Harrell is still starting, so there you go. Okay. He still gets an opportunity to go out and try. If Paul Reed was starting, we could have had a conversation about that, but doesn't seem to be the case. Revenge spot. Does he have revenge in his heart against Charlotte, a team that he didn't really do anything for any team? Bradley Beal listed out. Interesting. Monty Morris out. Good Lord. Get your Miami Heat bets in.
Yeah, here it comes right now. You just hit on most of it. Kyle Anderson is active for the Wolves. Josh Hart's available to play. Melton Harris, Tucker Harrell for the Sixers. No Bradley Beal, no Monty Morris, no Rui Hachimura. If I'm locking a Sixer, the only Sixer that I would be locking, assuming this is a DraftKings question, and not that I think that he's a lock play, but Shake Milton would be my first guy up there. I would not be locking Paul Reed at this point. I'd be more likely, if I'm playing on DraftKings today, I'm playing more Montrezl Harrell than Paul Reed, assuming when this ownership adjusts that Harrell is pretty significantly less owned than Paul Reed. I know that I would be getting to more more Montrezl Harrell. Shake Milton, I just like no matter what at 5,500.
Yeah, he's impossible not to like. Again, lock is not the right word. If you're playing cash games, pretty difficult to look at Shake Milton as a guy that you might not have in your life. Like, he's 5.5K. Him and Paul Reed are probably in there right now. And then you're playing 4 Raptors and 2 basically spend ups that aren't any of those guys. So kind of your choices on that. But it's very clear cut what you're supposed to do with this basketball team in tournaments. Like, you need to play more Montrezl Harrell. I just think it's a hot hand approach. It's the same thing I said yesterday. And I think we had Paul Reed play really, really well. And then second half, Montrezl Harrell, quick hook, Paul Reed smashes, closes the game, even up 14. Pretty wild stuff. I think Montrezl Harrell gets an equal opportunity share here. So maybe it turns 26-22 in his favor in this spot. You're getting a lot of leverage. Yesterday, I talked on this show about how I got to like 50% Paul Reed. I had like 42% Montrezl Harrell, and I had 0 overlap there. You definitely want 0 overlap today on this slate. Have a rule in place if Cruncher gets going here in a second. Have a rule in place where you do not have them together, because the correlation on a 4-game slate, like the negative correlation, it wouldn't matter as much. I probably made a mistake by doing it yesterday. I think they both could have definitely gotten there. But on a massive 12-game slate like this, there is negative correlation that you do not want to mess with there. Do not play them together.
Zachary Pinnell with the super chat. This one's going to be up your wheelhouse here. 8K left for a forward on DraftKings. Who are you going with?
See, 8K forward.
I have my
Tobias
answer,
Harris.
Ooh, okay.
He's my highest projected.
OG Anunoby is the answer for me. Tobias Harris is a very close second. I have them separated by a quarter of a fantasy point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a $400 or $200 difference, I guess, between the two. But yeah, Tobias Harris, I have for 41.5. OG Anunoby 41.2. So I mean, it's just Tobias by a fraction. I also think Tobias Harris is going to be drastically underowned compared to him. People had played him yesterday. Oh, no, whatever. He's fine. He's going to get all the usage. He should be 8,500 in no time without Embiid, without Maxey, without Harden. So play Tobias Harris, one of my favorite tournament plays today.
Yeah, I had quite a bit of Tobias Harris yesterday. I'm happy that he mildly salvaged, but it didn't make a difference anyway. I wasn't even near the top of the tournament. Green Gang, best center 5K and under for FanDuel cash. No one. You should not be playing a 5K or under center in FanDuel cash. That is not what you should do today.
Both of the guys you should play, either Zubats or Paul Reed, are just above it. So play one of those two.
I think the answer is actually Kelly Olynyk.
Does he? I'm not
at
playing
5,300. He's not a 5K guy. I think you're more likely to be paying up for like Jokic or Towns or Jared Allen or something. Chris Boucher at 6K is significantly more interesting than he was earlier. We'll see where that ownership ends up, but there are no 5K or below FanDuel cash centers. You shouldn't be in that range.
Agreed.
Woo! Green Gang also hit us with the super chat. Love you guys at Stokastic, and happy Thanksgiving to you all. Let's eat tonight and tomorrow. I can't wait to eat.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
My gravy.
Gravy. Interesting. I kind of have a contrarian take. Oh, just on everything? Absolutely everything?
No. I put a lot of time and effort into my gravy.
But I'm saying, do you do everything where you go mashed potatoes, turkey, you just kind of slobber it all over the plate?
No, I try to stick to just the taters. A little bit gets on the
okay,
turkey.
Tyler.
That's fine. That's fine with me. But no, I don't need it everywhere. But I don't mess around. I've made a ton of homemade stock today, multiple quarts. I'll then take some of that stock that I made, fortify it again with some roasted chicken wings, some roasted turkey wings, and run it back through again and like double down, then reduce it. So it's a very concentrated bird flavor. Mwah. Exceptional. Brown chicken jus all over the spuds.
I like green bean casserole. That's kind of a contrarian take.
You should come to North Carolina right now. My wife will love you.
Oh, dude. Oh, well, there you go. Hello, Mrs. Engleman. How are you?
That is her only requirement for any holiday, really, is green bean casserole.
I'm obsessed. I don't even like green beans normally, but green bean casserole, it hits different on Thanksgiving. It's fire.
You want it the trash way, right?
Oh, yeah. No, just give me all as much bad stuff in it as possible with the little crouton things on it, like those little crispy salad pieces and whatever else sprinkled in the middle. Oh, God, fire.
She tried to make it one year.
Real quick. Eric, that jab was completely unnecessary for the
well,
taters
he started
reference.
doing the thing about the thing.
I just had to hop in. That was uncalled for. Okay, you're just mad because you got second in state in golf. Okay, you're not a winner.
What? No, I won state my senior year. Our team got second. How's Texas A&M doing? You trash human being. Goodbye.
Hey, 3 wins and we're looking solid for a good draft
3
pick.
wins. Congratulations. Jimbo Fisher making $1 billion.
Just out of curiosity, how many wins does Iowa State have?
Stop talking. It's not good.
Just for the record, any answer would have been fine. I don't have a clue. You could have told me 10, you could have told me 0, and I wouldn't have known. Yeah. It was an actual question.
Oh, I think it's 4 at the moment, but let me pull it up again.
All right. Keep hitting that like button. I appreciate you guys giving thanks with the thumbs up. We're up to 530. Mike L with the super chat. FanDuel main. How many of you guys are playing FanDuel today? I feel like this never happens, but I'm really excited to see you guys in the streets. I need to start giving you guys the wrong answers while I'm over there. Russell.
Boy.
Oh no, what?
Michael Porter Jr. out. Jamal Murray out. Nikola Jokic in. Let me just say, congratulations on not playing today.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so happy I'm not dealing with this. Nikola Jokic in, Jamal Murray out, Michael Porter Jr. out. When I finish up these super chats, we're going to circle back to the Wizards news and now the Denver news. Russell, Sabonis, Reed, Murray, Bogdanovich, Nurkic. Murray, well, it would have, I assume that Murray was Jamal Murray. So not the second one, Mike, because Jamal Murray is now out. But I did like the Murray side of that one previously. I do not like Paul Reed on FanDuel today. I didn't like him yesterday on a 4-game slate. I like him less so today. I don't trust that Philly situation at all.
Say that again? What Philly situation?
I don't trust Paul Reed on FanDuel.
I do not trust Paul Reed to do what he did yesterday. I still think he's a good play. I still think on FanDuel, we just know he's going to be overowned. Like, you have to accept the fact that if you're playing Paul Reed today, he's going to be exponentially more owned than he should be on DraftKings. 9.3% negative leverage in the boom bust tool on FanDuel. Let's see. Oh, he's slightly positively leveraged, 5,400 over there, but it's just so hard for me to want to like pull the trigger, knowing that he's going to probably end up getting the certified bump because of a day yesterday where everything went his direction. And the matchup was completely different. He should be very successful on the floor there. We had talked about that a lot where, is PJ Tucker going to start at the 5? I didn't think so once you got Claxton and Simmons starting together. And that was kind of a mistake, I think, on the Nets part. I think you probably just want to be playing one of them, but such is life. That's a different conversation. Paul Reed, I think, is just fine. But I just know how popular he's going to be. I don't want to be going too nuts with it.
The news god says, Josh don't wash his hands after he shits. I'm not eating nothing he cooks, respectfully. I'm just constantly washing my hands in the kitchen, man. You have to. Yeah,
that's different. Yeah. He's not a heathen, my friends. He's just saying that, like, if you're in your own place and doing whatever, that you're not constantly updating it. But yeah, Thanksgiving meals, he's washing his hands.
Constantly.
Right?
Constantly.
Okay. Good
Constantly.
man. Good man.
Anthony Davis hit us with the big super chat. All I do is FanDuel. Let's go. Good luck. Good luck to you as well. I don't need the luck today. I feel good, stress-free, nothing going on here. I'm going to go eat some pizza after this, have a cocktail, maybe a little joint. It's going to be a great night.
Cocktails. Oh, woo.
Avi, man, you should just enter another contest with all these super chats. Boucher or Young on FanDuel?
Both.
I mean, that is the answer, but just out of curiosity, let me look at what I have here.
I have more Boucher at the moment on DK.
I have them separated by a half point. They're separated by $100. They're basically the same ownership. I don't have I can't choose between them. That's a coin flip. And I mean that literally. Like, if I had to make a lineup, I would flip a coin.
Flip. I'm going to always land on Boucher because I just love him.
There you go. All righty. It is 6:41 and change. So we got about 18 minutes to go before we get to lock. We're up to 550 likes at the minimum here. Please hit that like button. I'm refreshing our projections right now to get our updates for the Wizards and then eventually for Denver. But let's talk it through for what we've got going now for Washington, because they have just burned down a large chunk of this slate. Bradley Beal, Gonzo, your 37 minutes in big usage, and you're not around here any longer. Monty Morris, gone. Point guard, new one. We need somebody else here. Taj Gibson might actually see the floor today. Who was the third guy that was out for them? Morris, it's Beal, and who?
Boris, Rui Hachimura.
Too many dudes got ruled out at the same time there. I couldn't remember who the hell it was. All right. So we, as a website, went to 27 minutes to Corey Kispert. We have 16 minutes in for Anthony Gill. Denny gets a little bit of a bump. Jordan Goodwin now going to play quite a bit. Kyle Kuzma most certainly looks a little bit better. Kristaps Porzingis looks a lot better. Will Barton has a price tag that is incredibly appealing on DraftKings at this point. There's just all of the minutes now to go around for this Washington Wizards team. What stands out most to you for the Wizards? Are you getting to anybody aggressively? Do you need me to handle any more of this?
Yeah, Jordan Goodwin is somebody that is starting to pop up for me quite a bit. You're going to need some functioning scoring out there here. Kyle Kuzma's, Porzingis, they make some sense. But, I mean, just at the guard spot, it's Will Barton and Jordan Goodwin that are going to play a lot of the minutes here. I'm trying to figure out exactly how aggressive I want to get in those in that regard. But both are sub 4K. I think we'll be able to kind of react to whatever that starting lineup ends up being. We get the extra half hour, we'll be around. So yeah. I'm not too panicked about it right now, but I think they both make a lot of sense on this slate now.
Yes. $3,900 Goodwin on DraftKings, $3,200 Will Barton on DraftKings, both really solid point per dollar plays. I think Denny for $4,400 on FanDuel, small forward, power forward, also stepping into a much better option than the not an option at all like he was before this.
Well, he's not an option at 5K on DK, so I will definitely say that. I have I just did 190 lineups. I'm trying to distribute them. He's in 1.2, so yeah, he's in what, 2 lineups of those, and I'm probably gonna have to get rid of him.
What WTF does 502 bad gateway means? I think you won the GPP. Congrats. Eddie, best spend ups and value on DraftKings for GPP. Who are your favorite? Give me your favorite pay up and pay down options on DK.
So the pay down options are changing as we speak here. I'm trying to get Denver updated. Miami, Washington, we just talked about. I think that Will Barton 3,200 on DraftKings. That's just ridiculous. So just in terms of pay downs, Paul Reed said he's going to be massively overowned, but he makes some sense. I'm going to get to a little bit there. I'm going to be under the field and just try to get to more Harrell. I'm just going to kind of force that in. Will Barton, Jordan Goodwin, and now Denver. You got to play some of those guards. They're just going to make sense. So Bruce Brown, kind of in that mid-range. He's priced up a little bit more than you would want on this kind of a slate, but he's going to run the point and it's going to be lovely there. Want to see if Ish Smith ends up out. He might actually have to play some minutes if he's going to be in. So I'm watching that. In terms of pay-ups, this is really, really fun now because we do have a Will Barton piece at 3,200 that just stands out exponentially more. And I think that gives you options getting up to like the Giannis's, the Luka Doncic's, and now Nikola Jokic without Jamal Murray. I do like Nikola Jokic quite a bit here in this spot. He's projected, just fantastic for me without Jamal Murray. That usage has taken such a dip playing alongside of him this season, as you would expect it to. And if you want to be a winning basketball team like Nikola Jokic obviously wants, he's more than happy to give up some of the shooting duties to Michael Porter Jr., to Jamal Murray. Well, both of those fools are not out there playing basketball today. So Nikola Jokic against OKC in that front court, Pokusevski, good luck. Robinson Earl, good luck. I'm not worried about the back-to-back. I know he was sick and everything else. I do not think they're going to run into any issue where Nikola Jokic can't go nuts in 35, 36 minutes coming off of a bad loss yesterday. I'm going to be getting up to that quite a bit, it looks like.
By the way, Ish Smith out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Did that just come through, or was that?
It did.
Okay, cool.
In the middle of you going, it came.
Awesome. I was waiting to get that. So again, now I feel pretty confident that Bruce Brown's going to be a piece of my lineup. So just throwing that out there.
Agreed. Red Skittles hit us with the super chat just because he feels like it. So thank you there. Always great to have you around. Teddy Wayman, also on my side, not playing today. Happy Thanksgiving to you all with the glass of wine and the turkey leg. That's going to be very much me tomorrow post NFL show. I cannot wait. That's eating and drinking is the best part of Thanksgiving. You're gonna what's not going to be the best part of Thanksgiving? The process show at 6:30 a.m. on Friday.
Best of luck to you, sir. You're going to be on Thursday night. It's going to be like the end of Dodgeball, as in Chuck Norris just leaning back doing the thing.
The only saving grace that I have is that I don't care that I'm going to be banged up for the process show because I don't have the strategy show. And normally I go to the gym on Fridays at 8:30 a.m. They are closed, so I can dodge that bullet of sweating and puking all over the place.
It's pretty fun.
Cornell wants to know Levine on FanDuel at 6,900. I like it. I don't know what to make of him because when you get sticker shock from that price tag, because he's just not a $6,900 player, but he has been this year. And I don't know if we need to just assume that he is moving forward because his knee is not okay. So it's a tough one for me because Zach LaVine as a player, when healthy, is an ultra efficient offensive scorer on a team that needs exactly that. I don't know how to work out his health. So I have him projected pretty well, but today he's 15% owned, and that seems about right. So I don't have too much that I could add to that.
Yeah, I've been watching quite a bit of Chicago Bulls basketball this season. It looks to me like Zach LaVine is basically just a spot-up shooter now. Like, it's so weird because he's been so explosive throughout his career, going back to Minnesota to Chicago, and it feels as though they want to just remove all of that from his arsenal and just make him a glorified spot-up shooter for the most part. And with DeMar DeRozan out there creating, he's been doing a decent enough job this season where Zach LaVine doesn't have to have as many ball handling duties. He can still obviously do it, but Definitely a strange look watching Zach LaVine play right now. That doesn't really help you from a DFS perspective. He's still sub 7K. You just have to think it compared to the Toronto value. Everybody in that 6K range is a better play from Toronto than Zach LaVine. So I think if he falls into some lineup sweet at 7.1K, I'm not really getting to too much on DK. I'm 4% right now. But whatever. If he shows up in some lineups 6-9, he can definitely go out and get you a bucket and knock down 5 or 6 threes. That's well within the range of outcomes.
And when you're 6'9", everything's great. I got to talk about a promo for you guys. It's very appropriate for right now, particularly for this coming Friday, but it works right now if you want it. And that is our Cyber Monday, our Black Friday deal for today, sort of Cyber Monday as well. Massive deal. $5 gets you our Stokastic Plus weekly pass. Now's the day to do it. Get in quickly, play some NBA. You gotta at least look at the projections and ownership if you want. You get everything for NBA, projections, ownership, boom, bust, whatever. NFL, when PGA comes back, which I don't think is this weekend, so that is pretty moot for this particular case. But all of the other things, World Cup soccer, we had Adam betting on Belgium today. I think he really enjoyed that. You can come in. You can see we got a QR code on the screen right now. Scan it if you can. But otherwise, go to stokastic.com/promos to get this deal. Again, $5 for Stokastic Plus Platinum Weekly. You can use the promo code THANKS because we're giving thanks to you.
CJ McCollum ruled out.
CJ McCollum out. Man, a lot of guys' illnesses today. Odd. Interesting designation on the old injury report there.
It's like my DK conspiracy theory that they allowed people to get hacked so that two-factor authentication knocked people from trying to react to news in their betting. Just saying.
Surely.
What was the thing you were saying about 6'9"? That completely went over my head before.
Something goes over your head during it generally.
What?
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate you. Chat will get it. You'll be fine, man. Once chat fills you in, one day you'll have to have a conversation with your wife. Anyway, Avi, Bogdanovich or Thompson on FanDuel? Are you really whiffing on this that bad? Is this a gimmick?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Literally 0.0% idea what you're talking about.
Man, high school and college must have been real boring for you.
No, it was not.
That was single-handedly the top 3.
Shut up, Tyler. Go away.
Moments.
We have 8 minutes before lock. Stop it. Man.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
Anyway, Bogdanovich or Thompson? Oh, man. I assume it's Clay. I'm pulling it up now. I got Boyan at 30.9. I got Clay at 32. So that answer is Clay for me. Mike L's question was DeJounte, not Jamal. Well, then it really was the second one because I really like DeJounte Murray today. So absolutely go that direction. Eric said, is John Wall going to play decent minutes or is Man the safer bet for a single entry on DK? I mean, I think Man is a safer bet because his price is significantly better than John Wall's price. I do think John Wall is also going to play decent minutes.
Yep, John Wall.
You good? Do you need me to handle everything coming in?
7 minutes. I mean, there's just a lot of things to update. Again, I wasn't. I wasn't completely listening before. I think I know what we were getting at before, but I mean, obviously,
it's fine. Handle your lineups. You've got 6.5 minutes. Don't worry about this. I'm feeling great. Wide awake. No stresses. So we're caught up on super chats, I believe. Nope. Brandon Kent, DKGPP. I'll hit it. So handle yourself. Sexton and Thad or Goodwin and Simmons. Ooh, that is tricky. You know what? Let me pull this up quickly just to check it out. Hold on. Oh, nope. Not pulling that up. Never mind. Thought I was pulling something up. I'm actually not pulling it up. All right. So Colin Sexton, I got it at 32. Thad Young, I have at 36. 67. So call that. Oh man, what a great day. Call that 69 total.
Okay. See, yeah, no, I'm a absolute fucking donkey, but it's fine. Yeah. Don't mind me.
Look, hey, those are your words.
Just throw it out.
Jordan Goodwin, I got a 26. Ben Simmons, I have at 31. So that's going to be Sexton and Thad for me, Brandon. And we are 5 minutes away from lock. This slate is nuts.
Yeah, it's wild.
I wouldn't like this ever. Even if I wasn't on this show, I would hate this. This is just not fun.
I'm weirdly calm right now. I feel really good about my lineups because I think, obviously, also if people are having issues with certain things and Cruncher and whatever else. Also, by the way, I think it just came back up, so nice. That's cool. I'm gonna add everything from my spreadsheet back in, and it should take a second. But yeah, this is wild. This is a wild slate. I think just getting to a lot of Goodwin. That's really what it comes down to. Any Goodwin side, I can tell you right now, I've got a ton of this individual.
I mean, we haven't really touched on Denver since the Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. news, but Devon Reed is flat 3K on DraftKings. He's small forward eligible. We gave him 28 minutes. He's generally like not the best point per minute guy. I have him as a baseline 0.75 in my model. I have him at 0.8 just for this matchup because it is OKC. So it's he picks up a little bit of pace. But I mean, as a straight pay down option, they don't have a lot of bodies. Denver is looking at, and I know this might not be as actionable any longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They only have 10 guys. One of those guys is Jack White, who I learned was a person that plays basketball yesterday, not the musician. He went to Duke and is Australian.
He is.
Devon Reed's just going to play like 20-something minutes and could play more. Flat 3K looks good, as does Christian Brown for 3,100 shooting guard small forward. Like there's value now on Denver that's a bit more appealing than I expected.
Yeah, I think one of the big changing points of the slate, Goodwin, him, Barton, Devon Reed, I think all of these guys give you access to those top guys. So I'm getting to a lot more Luka, Giannis, Jokic than I ever imagined getting on this slate.
Yeah, I mean, there are at least one or two sub 4K guys that you can put in a lineup that makes it super simple if you want to try to get to some of the pay up options. And we just didn't have that earlier today. It just wasn't in the cards. And now that's very different. Obviously, Aaron Gordon now looks exceptional, or at least even more exceptional, 5,600. We have him pulling a ton of ownership on the DK side. On FanDuel, when we had the question before about FanDuel Cash Center sub 5K, the answer now is unequivocally Nikola Jokic, second highest owned guy on today's slate on the FanDuel side. He's a $10,500 center. There is no other answer. Nikola Jokic is your cash center on FanDuel. So if you still have time to make a change to that lineup, that is what you need to do.
Agreed.
Avi wants to know if there's a minutes restriction on Aaron Gordon. Not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge either. Somebody was saying in chat that he's out. I think they're a damn dirty liar, but double check for me because I'm uploading.
Aaron Gordon out.
Oh my God.
Per NBC Sports Edge.
Jesus. All right. So we'll deal with all of that after lock. I'm just going to upload these, get all of my stuff for the early games in. Done. Cool.
When did the Aaron Gordon news come in?
I never saw it. Never saw it at any point. And I'm generally watching that stuff like a hawk. I never saw that come through.
He wasn't even on the injury report at 6:30. Let me hunt that down.
Thanks. I'm going to try to do one more crunch to get this in, but I doubt I can. I doubt I'm going to get it in.
So I don't see that anywhere. I don't see that coming from a beat writer.
Hang on. If anybody at Stokastic is able to go in and check and do anything, because I can't do it right now. We have Ish Smith in. He is right now the highest value piece. He is out. Ish Smith is out. So we do not want Ish Smith to be the highest
You
value.
need to
option.
refresh your sheet. He is not in on our projections.
No, so I've got him in right now. Yeah, I'm on the Fantasy Crunchers page, and I don't want to refresh it anymore. So maybe it just didn't update because I do not want to refresh this.
We do have him out now.
Okay, good. Just wanted to double check as we're finishing it up.
I think that NBC Sports Edge's report that Aaron Gordon is out is unconfirmed at this moment.
Wild.
Yeah. So they reference a tweet from Katie Winge. I don't know if that's the right way to say her name. Murray out, Porter out, Jokic plays. No Jeff Green, no Bones Highland, and a response that says Ish is also out. Never does Aaron Gordon get referenced. So I'm going to say right now, I know that it is locked. You'll be able to make these changes shortly. Aaron Gordon has not been ruled out anywhere yet. I don't want to say that he is not going to get ruled out, but as of right now, Aaron Gordon is in and quite a good play. Did you get your stuff in?
Yep, I'm in.
Okay. Well, that was a pretty fast hour.
Yeah, that was a wild time. That's for sure.
So I hope everybody's listening to me right now. Oh no, now what?
Oh no, okay, never mind. I misread that. It's exactly what I expected it to be. Goodwin, Kispert, Avdia, Kuzma, Porzingis, because Goodwin is one of my three. Let's see, how much did I end up with? 48% of him. I have so much of Goodwin, and I might get to a little bit more now that he's confirmed starting.
Yeah, just trust me on this one for right now that there is no report on Aaron Gordon being out. For right now, treat it like Aaron Gordon is in. That report is incorrect.
Appreciate you. You're a real one.
Ooh,
why am I so calm? I should
now?
be really not calm about this slate. I'm generally hyperactive and freaking out. I'm really just fine because as long as I have active players and I've got everything updated in a way I don't think other people do, I think this is a really good slate to have an edge.
Boss bro, no. Aaron Gordon's status either direction doesn't make me worry about Jokic at all. Everything always wants me to play Nikola Jokic if he's active. If Nikola Jokic is 10-5 and can play 34 minutes, he's always in play and really good. It's especially true when you face Oklahoma City and the guy that's guarding you is Jeremiah Robinson Earl or whatever other idiot big man they have.
Yep.
He might just have 100 assists.
Yeah, he's my highest owned spend up. I had talked about him a little bit there. Just he makes all the sense in all the land. And it's not just everything you said there. It's the fact that I think he just plays a style of basketball too, where I think him going up and down a floor, it's not like he's out there being speedy and needs to be a fleet of foot or anything. He can get it done in so many different ways. He's 11-6 on DK. I bet he's just a lot lower owned than he should be at this spot. Plus, he's really the only spend up at center. Like Domantas Sabonis, I know it's a good game environment, but I am not paying $9,600 for him in any way, shape, or form. And you look at the rest of the centers, the next guy for me in terms of projection is Kristaps Porzingis at 8.9K. Everybody's going to be paying down there. That's exactly why you want to get to Jokic on DK.
Gabe Vincent available to play. Heat starting lineup: Lowry, Hero, Martin, Jovic, Adebayo. Guys, chat, you got to listen to me here. The NBC Sports report is bullshit. Okay? If you click on the report, there is a tweet that is linked in that report. That tweet does not list Aaron Gordon in it at all, not even in the response. They hit every other guy that's available for the Denver Nuggets except for Aaron Gordon. So their reference document does not reference Aaron Gordon's name in any way, shape, or form. Please stop referencing just the headline of the tweet. I promise you, you guys are reading at the minimum the same tweets that I am, and without question, not more than that.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. I was really interested to see the Heat just burn it all down right now.
Just full fire Elmo emoji or GIF.
John Wick in chat, you are absolutely right. People just need to listen. People just need to listen.
But it's
and again, I'm not like he can be ruled out. That just has not happened in any way, anywhere, including the beat writer that is referenced for everything else. Oi, Domer with the super chat. Goodwin or Alvarado on DK, same price. It's not even close. It's got to be Goodwin, right? Even with CJ out.
I think Alvarado's okay to get to a little bit of, but I mean, they're in completely different worlds. There's a lot of paths where Alvarado doesn't completely nuke it sub 4K. I think you're going to see some minutes coming to Graham. I think you're going to play through Zion. I think the question is, who does it benefit really? Because you get an expensive Brandon Ingram, expensive Zion Williamson. I don't really want to get to too much of either of them. It was already just a team that was so unappealing. Now, Alvarado's the most appealing of anybody, and I don't think that that's close, but I think Devontae Graham can just do enough, and they can play through Ingram and Williamson enough where it's not some kind of smash there, whereas Goodwin is starting, going to play more than 30 minutes barring foul trouble, and is just a smash.
Yeah, he's unequivocally a better play. You also get better positionality. Goodwin is point guard, shooting guard, and not just point guard. So yeah, it's just easier.
Yep.
Okay. What else do we have here? So has anything else come in the past couple minutes? Gabe Vince, Mavs lineup: Doncic, Dinwiddie, Bullock, Finney-Smith, Powell, Simmons, Irving, O'Neal, Durant, and Claxton. So the Nets are going back to the double bigs. Hawks lineup: Young, Murray, Hunter, Collins, Capella. Kings, Fox, Herter, Barnes, Murray, Sabonis. So none of those
there
lineups
we go.
are
This is
surprising.
what we needed. Flynn, Trent Jr., Anunoby, Young, Koloko. There you go.
Okay. That is what I expected. They just are so loath to start Chris Boucher. He's still obviously a solid option, but that is a different play.
I don't know why they hate him so much. I love the man.
And guys, if you are having issues with Fantasy Cruncher, I would be dumb to not tell you that there is a lineup generator on Stokastic.com that can help you out in these situations. We are curating giant runs of our lineups based on our projections. You can choose them based on whether you want to be chalky for cash games or more contrarian for larger field GPPs. That is out there right now. So if you're ever running into issues like this, don't forget, lineup generator at Stokastic.com is going to get you where you need to be. You could export those lineups and import them right to FanDuel and DraftKings.
What do you think about Juancho Hernan-Gomez with this news?
Not my favorite cup of tea. Let me look at the pricing here. We have Juancho at 3,600 on DraftKings, 3,900 on FanDuel. I had him in for 23 minutes. I think that holds. I think we just have so many more better. Yeah, we have better 3-ish K guys.
Gonna treat this chick mo better. Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is hectic.
Yeah, I'm getting it done though. Again, I just feel really, really good about my lineups for some stupid reason.
Good.
Because I just think if everybody's freaking out about Cruncher, that's probably a good thing for me, considering, again, there's ways around things. Like, you can still get everything fixed the way that you need it to elsewhere.
Let's see. We had another super chat. Goodwin or Flynn on DraftKings? I think that's a reasonable question. 4,300 for Malachi Flynn.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is both. I prefer Malachi Flynn.
Yes.
I would happily have them both.
Malachi Flynn is my highest owned player. Jordan Goodwin is now my third highest owned player. So there you go.
Gray-haired gaming. OG, Young, or Joker and Bruce Brown on DraftKings. I don't know what Young that is. There are a few of them available here today. My guess was Trey, but there's no way to know. So it's really hard to answer that question because Thad Young is an exceptional play today.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Nuggets players available Wednesday: Bruce Brown, Davon Reed, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Zeke Naji, DeAndre Jordan, Christian Braun, Vlatko Kansar, and Jack White. Aaron Gordon, the fourth name I listed. Get off Josh's lawn.
Yes.
It's Trey Young on that super chat.
Is Trae Young on that super chat? So Trae Young and OG Anunoby or Nikola Jokic and Bruce Brown? Do you have a lean there, Eric?
I would lean the first one, but I've got a lot of the second one. Let me just say that is a really nice spot to be looking at here. You were talking about Christian Braun. I don't have a lot of him. I got 2% of him. I don't think he's as necessary. If I'm going to play a low usage guy, just give me the flat floor there on Davon Reed. I think he makes some sense. Yeah. I think he's just a better play between the two. Christian Braun, excuse me, because I know that he went to Kansas, and that's for whatever reason his name is incorrect. But Bruce Brown is right now, I've got him projected for 36 fantasy points. He's 6.3K. He's not some necessity, but he's projecting out pretty decently for me. I've got 9%.
Okay. Eric wants to know Aaron Gordon or Thad Young.
Thad Young, probably.
36.9. Yeah, it's Thad Young for me. Not that I don't like Aaron Gordon.
It's going to change here in 2 seconds. But I have a lot more Thad Young.
I'm with you. Oh, man, what a slate. There are so many guys that like we didn't even talk about that are like really good plays today that are just unable to be talked about given how many ridiculous pieces of news came in. Like we're already 11 minutes into the overrun of this show. Thank you to No House Advantage. Hit that like button, all that good stuff. Make sure you're checking out the site. Sign up using the promo code THANKS. I didn't even check this. I forgot to check to see how much overlay there was on No House Advantage. Anybody that's in on No House Advantage today, if you played that contest, can you let me know how big the overlay was? And if I'm to believe that, Katie, what's her nuts? Wingy? I want to get it right because she seems like a nice lady. Aaron Gordon, 17 minutes ago on her list of available players, is the first person listed. So
I love it. Chat, don't quit being you, but never quit being you. It's adorable.
I have to start following her.
She hot.
67% filled, Brandon Brown? That can't be possible, can it? I went from 20 to 67? Either way, at 67% filled, congratulations on aggressive overlay. Brandon Kent wants to know if Will Barton is still an okay play. Yes.
Our presidential candidate Emac just hit me up with the NHA number. He said it was 763 out of 1,200 in that contest.
Okay, so yeah, that's right then. Yeah, Will Barton looks good as a value option. My only presidential candidate is the Donald, so I don't want to hear anything.
Oh my God, don't do this. Not now. Not now.
Is that, I mean, he's been our president before. I love our country.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Please.
Hey, man.
Show forgiveness for my friend here.
Taxes. They keep them low for me. Chat's going to light me up for this one.
Yeah, I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This is what we need. We need a divided chat right now. That's what I need to be dealing with at this moment.
Is that how we avoid? Is that how we avoid this? We get EMAC over Trump and DeSantis.
Yeah, we send EMAC, get him residency down in Florida right now, take over the governorship, and then when DeSantis loses, I don't even know. I don't care. Politics sucks.
I shouldn't have brought any of this up. My bad, guys.
It's all right.
Oh my God, chat's flying now.
Oh my God.
Flying.
Eric voted for Biden in the most obvious way. You don't know my life. You don't know who I voted for. I've never talked politics on these shows. Why would I do such
politics in any way?
I talk Jose Alvarado. He's starting to show up a little bit more than I thought. I don't want this much.
Thuggin', you will never get your question answered. Just FYI. Never. You're also going to get a 5-minute break for not being able to do that. Stop spamming your questions. Gonzo. Thanksgiving officially started with that comment. I mean, Donald Trump would take Thanksgiving away if he could.
God, please stop. Please stop. I'm so uncomfortable.
I'm on both sides of this one now. I put him down and pushed him in for 2 minutes. I think there was another question there that we were trying to answer, and I already forgot what it was.
Yeah, like it matters now.
No, we hit that. We hit that Will Barton question. So, who are your most exposed plays? I have no idea what you're actually playing at this point. Do you?
Yeah. So Malachi Flynn, Jordan Goodwin, Gary Trent Jr., Ben Simmons, OG Anunoby, Jordan Clarkson, Shake Milton, and Nikola Jokic in order. There you go. How about that? Just play a lot of those guys. Will Barton, I'm not getting as much Will Barton as I was expecting, considering he's, 3,200. I don't know that he just automatically plays a bazillion minutes or anything, but it's Will Barton at 3,200. I'm going to be north of 20%.
Yeah, I mean, I gave him 24, and that's just like an interesting value option. And I think that he could easily play his way into a couple extra minutes. Although, by all accounts, they seem to not like him. But he played 21 minutes on Sunday, and that was with Beal playing 40 and a half. And now Beal's minutes aren't there. So there's that. Manny C says, with the super chat, big super chat too, to Josh, cheers. Cheers to you as well. Might be old water here.
Josh Engleman equals king of engagement. I was going to say, I've seen chat fly. I don't think I've ever seen chat fly quite like that did in the last 5 minutes.
Look, man,
you're
a
different cat. You're a different cat.
I'm good at my job.
Friend.
I'm willing to say anything to make chat go. I will take 2 contradictory stances at the exact same time just so that I can push the buttons of everyone. People got to learn, man. People got to learn.
Oh, man. These comments are so bad. I mean, you guys are out of your damn minds. I got to get back to this. I got to get back to work.
But you struggling?
Not struggling is not the right word. It's more of just like I need to fine tune some things.
I'll tell you what, man. If I had a MAGA hat right now,
stop it.
I don't know.
Why
I don't know.
Are you the way that you are?
Anthony Davis says Josh does not care about politics. He's clearly trolling. Chill, chat. Yeah. Yes, true.
Or don't. I mean, I know that you're trolling, but like, what's uncomfortable is chat doesn't know you're trolling, and then it's like fire Eric because he's a liberal excuse apologist, individual, communist, socialist, pathetic individual who needs to be put down the same way Old Yeller was once upon a time. You guys are just
Hernan Gomez or Knox is a super chat we just got.
Please tell me you're kidding. Please tell me you're kidding. I have 1% Hernan Gomez. I have 0% Kevin Knox. I could make 10,000 lineups on today's slate, and I would not get one share of Kevin Knox.
No, he is essentially unplayable today. Hernan Gomez is pretty close to that too, but the answer is Hernan Gomez. Josh stormed the Capitol. I haven't been to DC in a very long time.
Stop. Please just stop. Just stop. We have 13 minutes till a lovely holiday weekend. We're going to be back in the morning, working, hanging out. Don't make my life more uncomfortable than it already is now.
We went to DC for our 6th grade trip when I was in high school. And the only things that I could remember, there are 3 things that happened on that trip that I can still have flashbulb memories for. Do you want to know what those 3 things are? This is 1996, I guess, or 1997. Somebody in chat will actually be able to know this. Do you want to know what the 3 things are?
I'm assuming something regarding Clinton. So we're talking like... No? Okay.
No. So, number 1.
6.
Most of these have nothing to do with it. I'm just giving the context for everybody. Number 1. Okay. I bought a Tupac and Biggie like RIP shirt off of a street vendor. That was the first time that I'd ever really messed around in any sort of big city, so I got duped up on that one. But it was great.
To spend my quiet nights. Time to unwind. So much pressure in this life of mine.
2, I got shushed at the Abraham Lincoln place where everything was bad for him.
The Abraham Lincoln Place State Theater, like
I don't remember. Whatever it's called. God. I got shushed. So that didn't go well for me. And then 3, my buddy Luke in the bus ride home got touched by one of the gals with us. So good for him. Dog likes it.
Grab some peanut butter.
Dog likes it.
Yeah,
I believe it was Sadie. Shouts to Sadie.
Shout out.
Congrats to Luke in the chat.
Yeah.
Congrats to Luke. Yeah. Spam Luke 2024. A little handy under the blanket. That's always a nice move.
Yeah, we all played like don't let the chaperones come to the back of the bus. He's getting one above the pants. Red Skittles. Josh is I can't really figure out what that's supposed to be. Am I less than MAGA 2024? I don't know what that's supposed to be. Appreciate you though, Red Skittles. Keep stirring the pot, Josh. Happy Thanksgiving. From Joe. Absolutely. I will do that. What Wizards are a priority? I landed on Kuzma, but not sure he's necessary. DK single entry.
It's so weird that when we transition to talking basketball now, because I'm just so uncomfortable. Wizards that are priorities. Goodwin is a priority. Will Barton, not priority, but he's a really good play. That's it.
Yeah. 8,600 for Kuzma. You're not mad if that shows up in a lineup with no Beal and no Morris and no Rui, but it's hard for him to be a priority at that price tag. He's already tip of the spear.
Eric has a gender fluid dog.
Smart White Brown Tatum Horford. I don't know if we had that already, but now we do. Yeah, Raphael, that's just how this works around these parts, man. So it's a good time. We have 9 minutes to go. Do you want to take a look at some no house advantage props before we get out of here?
Love to do that. That sounds really nice.
Does it?
Sounds better than anything else that's happened for the last 16 minutes.
Oh, that was a quote bubble? Yeah, I don't know, man. I never saw that before. Not like that. And I am over 29 and a half years old, that's for sure. I am dangerously close to 39.
Danger's my middle name.
I don't want to be 39. I really don't want to be 40.
Yeah, it's
but I'm going to let you guys know right now, because I will still be here when I turn 40. I will still be, barring us selling this place for big bucks, I will still be here when I turn 40. And I'm going to let you know right now on my birthday, I am going to wear that I'm a man, I'm 40 line out 100 times a show. I might only say that. All right.
Oh, great.
Props. Are you ready?
Sure.
We're just going to work our way through them. You let me know how you feel.
Okay. I've got my sheet.
Trae Young, over under 29.5 points.
Trae Young, I have for 27.5. I would like the under.
Okay. No one should take our advice here. I would like the over.
There you go.
Push for us.
Cool.
Because if we both agree, I'm going to let people know that these are the ones that they should get to. DeJounte Murray, over under 20.5.
DeJounte. That's the most efficient line I've ever seen in my life. 20.4. So
I'm going to take the over there as well at 22.4. I just really like this Atlanta team.
There you go.
And that would have been reflected in ownership for me if that existed. Let's do one more before I hit on James's super chat. Let's go to a different game now. Let's go to Kyle Kuzma, over under 18.5. I have it right on the number.
I didn't update his stuff because I just basically said I'm not playing him at that number. So I know that's a ridiculous way of doing it. So I didn't even put a number in for him. So I will join you in saying it's pretty efficient.
Okay. I'm going to hit James's super chat right now that just came in. Players on FanDuel 5,200 and below at small forward. Who is the best play?
On FanDuel?
Yeah. So small forward. Oh my God, there's so many different options to get to small forward.
Norman Powell.
Is somebody controlling my mouse? Every time I keep clicking, shit's going away. And we're going under 5,200. Yeah, that is Norm Powell. And it is not particularly close. Marcus Morris would be a close second. But even that I don't have as close. So Norm Powell.
I thought this team was going to be the eternal chalk of all chalk, and I thought I was going to have like a ridiculous amount of them. It's wild how news changes things. I mean, Reggie Jackson, it just became Goodwin. It became Jose Alvarado. I think some Dyson Daniels in your life. Is Dyson Daniels somebody that you have projected for anything right now?
No.
Okay, just wanted to check because he just started getting through the cracks on things as I updated New Orleans here for this game, and I don't know. He sucks, and well, he doesn't suck. He's a lottery pick, but I just don't think he's going to play enough. Alvarado starting, good to know.
Oh, okay. So he is a little bit more interesting now with regards to the Goodwin question, but if they're behind a bit, he could just as easily not be out there, and they can go to more offense, a Devontae Graham or something along those lines. So I still like him. Still looks good. Preferred Goodwin. Doesn't really matter now. I want to reiterate our current promo for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, whatever you want to call it. Again, $5 for a week of Stokastic plus Platinum. That's projections, ownership, boom bust, the lineup generator. So you can use that to look through all of the lineups that we have already curated for you. You can see it on the screen right now. QR code is on the screen as well. The promo code is THANKS. You can type that in when you check out for the Stokastic Plus Platinum Weekly Pass, or just go directly to stokastic.com/promos. Be a little bit easier for you, but you get access to literally everything that we have. Every single thing that we have behind our paywall, you'll get access to that for a week. And if you want to be ready for Thanksgiving for tomorrow, there's no better time to do it than right now. How you feeling for today? You still confident?
Yeah, still feel good. I just wanted to get this New Orleans stuff kind of shored up. Alvarado, I assumed he was starting, so I don't have to do much there, but trying to see if anything made sense off the bench there. It's just too thin. It's too thin, especially if you're going to give me a bench guy, give me a 3,200 Will Barton. What happened?
I was just yawning.
Oh, never mind. Good. False alarm. I'd rather have it be a false alarm rather than a thing I have to do.
No, just a yawn. Just a yawn. Oddly energetic, if you can't tell. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and I just fell asleep and woke up like an hour later, and all of a sudden I just felt exceptionally refreshed. So it's a good day.
You're ready to rock. It's what, 7:30? As you said, you're gonna make a little cocktail. You're gonna do a little canoodling with the wifey, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I got my parents are here, my in-laws are here. I know we got some food downstairs waiting for me to walk down. I got a couple more things to do for tomorrow from a prep perspective. Guys, speaking of tomorrow, I don't want to miss it. Let me take a look and let you guys know what we have going on for Thanksgiving. No days off around these parts. 9:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. We'll start off our NFL coverage. Myself and Adam Scherer giving you the NFL first look for the 3 games for Thanksgiving. NFL Deeper Dive for an hour after that. You get Laffy, you get Ben, you get the boss man, Alex Baker. You guys know him as Awesemo. And then Eric, you're on from 11:30 to 12:30 with the 2 Matts. You guys are going 3 wide for the final hour. We're doing 3 hours of content tomorrow for Thanksgiving and for the NFL. I can't wait, man. I'm excited. For as much shit as I talk about the NFL, I love Thanksgiving football.
It's hard not to, and especially when we've got a Rainmaker, Millie Maker to kind of contest with. If you guys are interested in such things like that, I know Alex just put out a video on his Twitter. I'm going to watch that here after we get done and kind of see his take on going about playing in some of that stuff. You've got massive contests everywhere for this 3-gamer. You have showdowns throughout the entire day. We have content going full bore. It's a holiday, but not really. We're going to be working a lot tomorrow for you guys, and hope you appreciate it.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm happy to do that show. It's just, there's something about Thanksgiving football that just feels right. The same way that I'm happy to do NBA shows on Christmas Day. There's just something about NBA basketball on Christmas Day that feels right. I love both of those things. I can't wait to do it. Can't wait. I get excited to play the NFL slate. That doesn't happen on Sundays. I grit my teeth through that one at best.
Yeah. But then I always have to go back to was it Christmas like 4 or 5 years ago? I lost $500,000 on a last second defensive touchdown that changed me from winning $500K to winning $2,000. So that Christmas always has a weird feeling when it comes to that was like a 2-game NFL slate. Yeah, that was not a good time in my life.
Yeah, I would have threw myself down the chimney after that one.
It was not good. But otherwise, it's been good. And NBA is always profitable, except for the one random Enes Kanter game in the Garden that I don't even remember that. I had 0% of that.
The word you're looking for there is freedom, but we'll let you go because we
God.
are at 7:30. Guys, thank you for being here. I hope you guys had a good time. It's been fantastic. I had a fun hour and a half. Please enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe. No drinks and drives. Don't do that stuff on Wednesday nights. We got Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow. Tons of content for Eric. I'm Josh. Thank you to No House Advantage. Thank you to all of you guys. We're out of here. Peace.